Hello, everybody. Welcome to Let the Madness Begin, LTMB Live. We are your hosts, Will Gaillard, Mike White. Broadcasting live on YouTube, Twitch, Periscope Live. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Of course, we have some things to talk about tonight. Of course, a recap of Tuesday night, the primaries. But of course, something else is going on in the world that a little bit more, yeah, you could say more important. It's this coronavirus that is definitely spreading, been declared a pandemic.
Thought it was a
And
hoax.
yeah,
Thought it was a hoax. I thought it was a conspiracy, or as Fox called it, another impeachment. They called it coronavirus impeachment. And even the president said it wasn't that bad. Keep calm.
yeah,
It's not that bad.
yeah. I guess some revelations have been made now.
Revelation.
You could say that. Yeah, it appears it's a little bit more serious than what some people were stating initially. But again, we're going to get to a lot of that. Again, thank you for joining us. Really, where we can start is with the president's own words. Like Mike just alluded to, for weeks now, President Trump has been saying that really the coronavirus has not been a real major issue for the United States. We caught it early. Our response was fierce. It was appropriate. And we did a lot of work to maintain the spreading of this virus throughout this nation. No, it doesn't seem to be the case. So the president's words last night, which was Wednesday night, definitely a change in the way he presented the situation. So we're going to show you a clip of part of his address.
Today, the World Health Organization officially announced that this is a global pandemic. We have been in frequent contact with our allies, and we are marshaling the full power of the federal government and the private sector to protect the American people. This is the most aggressive and comprehensive effort to confront a foreign virus in modern history. I am confident that by counting and continuing to take these tough measures, we will significantly reduce the threat to our citizens, and we will ultimately and expeditiously defeat this virus. From the beginning of time, nations and people have faced unforeseen challenges, including large-scale and very dangerous health threats. This is the way it always was and always will be. It only matters how you respond, and we are responding with great speed and professionalism. Our team is the best anywhere in the world. At the very start of the outbreak, we instituted sweeping travel restrictions on China and put in place the first federally mandated quarantine in over 50 years. We declared a public health emergency and issued the highest level of travel warning on other countries as the virus spread its horrible infection. And taking early, intense action, we have seen dramatically fewer cases of the virus in the United States than are now present in Europe. The European Union failed to take the same precautions and restrict travel from China and other hotspots. As a result, a large number of new clusters in the United States were seeded by travelers from Europe. After consulting with our top government health professionals, I have decided to take several strong but necessary actions to protect the health and well-being of all Americans. To keep new cases from entering our shores, we will be suspending all travel from Europe to the United States for the next 30 days. The new rules will go into effect Friday at midnight.
So that's a pretty that's a pretty big announcement that the United States is suspending travel for 30 days from, I believe it's 26 countries in Europe. Again, this is a stark difference from what President Trump has been saying for weeks. And I mean, it seems like a long time ago, but it wasn't that long ago that President Trump was talking about how responsive we were to this infection. I mean, to this virus, and celebrating the fact that there had been no American deaths, Of course, that is not the issue anymore. That's not the situation. As of right now, I believe the count in the United States is that 39 people have died. Globally, it's, I believe, over 4,700 people have died, with over 127,000 confirmed cases of people being infected.
And that's not, and that's not the climax either.
No,
that's definitely not the climax. If you look at how fast it's spread in other countries, you could see the arc.
Yeah.
You could see an arc.
Yeah.
When they discovered the cases, when they discovered people contracting the virus, when they discovered, I guess the character of the virus.
Mm-hmm.
Once they knew what they were dealing with, you can see it kind of taper off.
Yeah.
If you look at our arc, as far as like the cases that are being discovered, our arc is much sharper than their arc because of this administration and how they didn't want to deal with it. There was one, I think last week, the Trump administration was trying to prevent a ship from docking because they didn't want the people who were on that ship that could potentially have the virus to increase the numbers. Like, he was trying to avoid there being statistics about the virus over here.
Because he was worried about what it would make his administration look like.
Indirectly, based on what happened to the stock market.
Right.
But like I think we said last show, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it wouldn't be his fault. So all he was doing was kind of prolonging the inevitable.
Right. And if he was more upfront, it would have looked better for the president of the United States to be more upfront about exactly what is happening. But being the case that it is right now, I guess his stalling to actually admit the truth, it looks like he's being dishonest. It looks like he's incompetent. It looks like he cannot be trusted by the American people. So while it seems everybody else, not just in this country, but globally, it seems like everybody is freaking the hell out. Everybody's freaking out. President Trump is like, hey, it's not that bad. We're good.
But they're freaking out while taking protocol. It's not like they're like freaking out and not knowing what to do.
Right.
You have, a lot of cities have implemented like drive-through testing. There's a few spots here. There's a few spots in the United States that have implemented it. But if you look at countries like Italy, who has the most cases, if you like China, where it started, they're like doing the most. They're doing the most. They're not handling it like this administration is handling.
So, and that's another cause of concern, the testing. So President Trump has also been saying that testing, everybody can get tested if they want to. There's nothing holding United States citizens back from getting tested. That is absolutely a lie, and it's not just us that's saying it. It's not just the media that's saying it. It's also Congress members that are saying it. So there is a Republican Congress member, and he was just recently interviewed by CNN, and we have a clip of what he said about the testing here in the United States.
The president has said that anybody who wants a test can get a test. Is that consistent with what you heard in there?
No, it's not consistent right now. That's obviously the goal, is to be able to get testing for everybody who wants testing, to be able to get it, and to be able to get it in multiple locations. But that's not accurate right now.
I mean, should you stop saying that?
Yeah, people should not say, if you want a test, you go get a test right now. That's coming. That's not here at this point. We're still a couple of weeks away from that. Within a couple of weeks, we'll have 50 to 100,000 that we can do a day, but we're not there at this point. And the tests that are being done are not coming back quickly. This is not like a rapid strep test where you can go in, get a quick swab, and then within minutes. Even those that are getting the test, sometimes it's days before they can get an answer back. So people that are showing symptoms have got to self-quarantine, and they've got to be able to have limited access to other people until they can get answers back.
You're clearly not satisfied with where we are right now.
No, I don't know that anyone's satisfied with where we are right now. We're 2.5 months into this. So this is very new to try to get it, and everybody all over the world is trying to figure out how to be able to get testing, get it done accurately. Lots of testing is happening, lots of different types of tests, lots of different companies are doing it at this point, but no one's satisfied with where we are right now. We've got a long way to be able to go to be able to get rapid, efficient testing, because right now people just want to know, do I have it, do I not have it? And that people can't do yet.
So that was Senator James Lankford, who is, again, a Republican. Now, like Mike was talking about, there has been this narrative out there that this is a hoax. This is just something that's been created to target the United States president and to make him look bad. It looks like the United States president is making himself look bad. Because, again, dealing with the truth, people have not been able to just readily access a test anytime they want to. And that's exactly what Senator Lankford was talking about. We still have a ways to go, and where every single American can actually, if they are feeling some type of way, if they're feeling the effects of this virus, or possibly, they feel like they might be infected by the virus, they should get tested.
No.
They should, because we should all want to know if they are infected, and if they are, then they have to self-quarantine, they have to be quarantined by other means, other measures, whatever, but we don't want this virus to spread any more than it has.
So what do you think is kind of preventing people from going and getting tested? What's the number one thing you think? What do you think? What's the number one thing?
Well,
I wouldn't say it's preventing, but I could use that word. But
yeah, you could.
Like what?
I mean,
why isn't there just this access?
Well, first of all, it's not even available for many people.
Many people, it's not available.
But I think what you're pointing to is the cost as well.
Yeah.
And
It costs for people who have insurance.
That's correct. That's correct.
Now, our Vice President Mike Pence said health insurers have agreed to kind of cover coronavirus testing. Mm-hmm. He says they also agreed to waive co-pays to cover like medicine and to prevent surprise billing as well. This is what Pence says that insurers have agreed to do, like cover everything involving the coronavirus. Also extending the coverage on whatever plan people have. Mm-hmm. He says that the health insurers have agreed to this. I do think that's ironic. Because why the need to do that? Why the need to kind of promise these adjustments in regard to people's plans? Because we were told that Americans love their insurance. Mm-hmm. If Americans love their insurance, there will be no need to kind of scramble to see that these insurance companies, offer coverage that doesn't screw people over, because we're involved in a pandemic, a viral outbreak. But again, I thought that Americans love their insurance. If Americans love their insurance, just let them go.
It's almost like they don't really love their insurance, but it was what we were saying, that they may love their healthcare providers. They may love their doctors, nurses. They may even love the hospitals, the clinics that they go to. But the insurance companies is not on that list whatsoever. And here we are in a situation where cost is definitely going to be one of those barriers to getting a test, finding out if you're sick. Hell, even quarantining yourself, because then you have to deal with the effects of not working, not bringing in enough income to provide for you and your family. Now, during President Trump's address, he did address that to some degree, saying that something was in the works to, I guess, provide some sort of assistance for people in cases that they have to quarantine and they're missing work. I'm not exactly sure what that plan is.
I hope that manifests, considering that investors have gotten bailed out.
Yeah, true.
Trillion, how much? Trillions of dollars?
Trillions of dollars, man. Trillions of dollars.
Trillions of dollars are sinking into the Dow Jones to save investors.
Yeah.
Because that's what matters first. But ensuring that everybody, regular people, get tested, that doesn't seem to be a priority.
There's a clip that we want to show you from, it's testimony from the House Oversight Committee, and Representative Katie Porter, who's a Democrat and on that committee, she is questioning a few different people, one being the Health and Human Services official, Dr. Robert Kadlec, and also the Director of Centers for Disease and Control and Prevention, Dr. Robert Redfield. And so she's really getting to the heart of the cost that regular Americans will have to pay, even given that they do have insurance, So she's going over these costs, and she's trying to drive home the point that the treatment, the test, all of this needs to be at a cost of $0 for the American people. So this is a pretty long clip. It's about 5 minutes long, but it's very important to see.
Dr. Kadlik, for someone without insurance, do you know the out-of-pocket cost of a complete blood count test?
No, ma'am, not immediately.
Do you have a ballpark?
With a copay, ma'am?
No, the out-of-pocket, just the typical cost.
I do not, ma'am.
Okay, a CBC typically costs about $36. What about the out-of-pocket cost for a complete metabolic panel?
Ma'am, I'd have to pass on that as well.
You have any idea? You want to take a ballpark?
I would say $75.
Okay, 58.
Getting closer.
How about flu A? The flu A test.
Ma'am, again, I would take a guess at about maybe 50.
43. Flu, this is like the Price is Right. Flu B.
Too high again. I would probably say 44.
That's good. How about the cost of an ER visit for someone identified as high severity and threat?
I'm sorry, ma'am, what was the question again?
How about the cost of an ER visit for somebody identified as having high severity or high threat?
High severity, but ma'am, that's probably about $3,000 to $5,000.
Okay. That is $1,151. This all totals up to $1,331. That's assuming they aren't kept in isolation. Isolation can add up for one family already, $4,000. And fear of these costs are going to keep people from being tested, from getting the care they need, and from keeping their communities safe. We live in a world where 40% of Americans cannot even afford a $400 unexpected expense. We live in a world where 33% of Americans put off medical treatment last year. And we have a $1,331 expense, conservatively, just for testing for the coronavirus. Dr. Redfield, do you want to know who has the coronavirus and who doesn't?
Yes.
Not just rich people, but everybody who might have the virus?
All of America.
Dr. Redfield, are you familiar with 42 CFR 71.30, excuse me? 42 CFR 71.30. The Code of Federal Regulations that applies to the CDC. 42 CFR 71.30.
I think if you could frame what it talks about, that would help me. I don't relate.
Dr. Redfield, I'm pretty well known as a questioner on the Hill for not tipping my hand. I literally communicated to your office last night and received confirmation that I was going to be asking you about 42 CFR 71.30. This provides the director may authorize payment for the care and treatment of individuals subject to medical exam, quarantine, isolation, and conditional release.
That I know about, and my office did tell me that. I just didn't know the numbers, ma'am. That's Congresswoman.
Great, so you're familiar. Dr. Redfield, will you commit to the CDC right now using that existing authority to pay for diagnostic testing free to every American regardless of insurance?
Well, I can say that we're going to do everything to make sure everybody can get the care they need.
Reclaiming my time. Dr. Redfield, you have the existing authority. Will you commit right now to using the authority that you have vested in you under law that provides in a public health emergency for testing, treatment, exam, isolation without cost? Yes or no?
What I'm going to say is I'm going to review it in detail with CDC and the department.
Reclaiming my time. Dr. Redfield, respectfully, I wrote you this letter along with my colleagues, Rosa DeLaura and Lauren Underwood, Congressman Underwood and Congressman DeLaura. We wrote you this letter 1 week ago. We quoted that existing authority to you, and we laid out this problem. We asked for a response yesterday. The deadline and the time for delay has passed. Will you commit to invoking your existing authority under 42 CFR 71.30 to provide for coronavirus testing for every American regardless of insurance coverage?
What I was trying to say is that CDC is working with HHS now to see how we operationalize that.
Dr. Redfield, I hope that that answer weighs heavily on you, because it is going to weigh very heavily on me and on every American family.
Our intent is to make sure every American gets the care and treatment they need at this time of this major epidemic, and I'm currently working with HHS to see how to best operationalize it.
Dr. Redfield, you don't need to do any work to operationalize. You need to make a commitment to the American people so they come in to get tested. You can operationalize the payment structure tomorrow.
I think you're an excellent questioner, so my answer is yes.
Excellent. Everybody in America hear that. You are eligible to go get tested for coronavirus and have that covered regardless of insurance. Please, if you believe you have the illness, follow precautions. Call first. Do everything the CDC and Dr. Fauci, God bless you, for guiding Americans in this time. But do not let a lack of insurance worsen this crisis.
And I would just like to echo what you said. It's a public health, a very important public health, that those individuals that are in the shadows can get the health care that they need during the time of us responding to this outbreak.
Yeah, that took longer than it should have.
Should have took a couple minutes. It really should have took a couple minutes, but he seemed very evasive. Seemed like he didn't want to commit to providing all Americans with the opportunity to get tested with no cost. Seemed like that was not his plan to go up on the hill on that day. I think it was earlier to that. It wasn't his plan to say, yeah, everybody can get a test for free. Yeah. Seemed like he was trying to do everything he could to stall that outcome. Now, why would he do that? Why would it be so hard for somebody to just admit what needs to happen? Just come to that conclusion. This is not something that's been created by people's. It's not something that's people's fault. You know, it's if they get infected, it's because there's an outbreak. It's because it's a pandemic. I mean, things like this have happened in the past. I mean, people are bringing up
H1N1.
Yeah, H1N1.
SARS.
But I'm talking about way well before black lung.
Oh yeah, black lung.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, and
I mean, we went through bird flu, swine flu, so this is not a new thing. So why are we having to go through all this?
Why should it be so hard? Why should it be so hard? It's almost like it's almost like this is making the case for something like healthcare for all and why it's necessary.
Yeah, because if people felt secure about their financial situation, then
we wouldn't be having this conversation.
We wouldn't be having this conversation.
No, we would not at all. If we did have something like Medicare for all, where there is no fee for point of service, like an out-of-pocket cost for a point of service, no deductibles, no co-pays, hell, no even premiums. Would anybody be talking about the cost to get a test? No, because there wouldn't be any cost anyways. It's just, we see what the government, it took him over 5 minutes to commit to that. Now, we don't know. Look, he did that under oath. This was his testimony. So it seems like he's going to be bound by those words. I mean, it's not going to be on me to hold my breath and just act like it's solid now. Like that's going to be the case. But he did say it under oath. It is being publicized. That video is it is a viral video now. So if that happens, it's a good thing. Now, the only other thing, though, is that the tests are not available for everybody. So that's another problem that we have. And as you heard previously, Senator Lankford saying that we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
But why aren't we there? Why aren't we there? That's the question. Why aren't we there?
It looks like a failure.
Well, all I know is these Republicans that recently approved the CDC budget or increasing the CDC budget because of this coronavirus outbreak just last week voted to again repeal Obamacare. And there was a provision within Obamacare that specifically devoted funds towards infectious disease situations like this. I think it was called like a public health fund, and these same Republicans wanted to get rid of that
with no replacement.
With
either.
no replacement.
They have no ideas for a replacement. We have our problems with the ACA, no doubt. We have shared that many times. But we're not ones that are sitting here and going to say that it should be eradicated without something better taking its place. We do believe in Medicare for all. But on the way to Medicare for all, yes, the ACA should remain active.
And it wouldn't even, I forgot the amount of money that was allocated for the CDC Prevention and Public Health Fund, but it still wouldn't have been enough. It would have been good to have, but it still wouldn't have been enough to cover the amount of testing that's necessary right
now. So Bernie Sanders, it's a nice time to segue to Bernie Sanders. Senator Bernie Sanders a few days ago held a discussion. It was I believe it was in Michigan, and it was a panel of different people speaking about the coronavirus. And we know that Bernie Sanders, if you've been paying attention, he does want the vaccine, and which we're a long ways off from the vaccine by all accounts. We're over a year away from a vaccine even being made for this coronavirus. But still, he wants this vaccine to be at no cost to the American people. So at this event, he's being asked, you're not going to be able to hear the reporter, but at the beginning, the reporter asked him if he does believe that the vaccine should be free. And he says, absolutely, I believe. And then right after that, the reporter asks, how are we going to pay for it? And that's where you're going to see the response, not just from Bernie Sanders, but from Deborah Berger, who is the president of the National Nurses United, and also Dr. Allison Galvani, who is from the Yale School of Medicine.
Absolutely. Well, I was growing up, we got the polio vaccine for free and nobody asked how you pay for it, because what they saw were children in iron lungs that were going to be damaged forever. How insane and cruel is it to suggest that we have to figure out how to pay for it when we can actually go to war and not ask one question, but to prevent this kind of a disease, we have to say, how can we pay for it? I'm sorry.
The cost of not paying for the vaccine is going to be orders of magnitude much more expensive.
Do I approve of spending a few cents for a vaccine rather than seeing people die or spending thousands of dollars on hospital care? Yeah, I kind of think it makes a little bit more sense to invest a few cents in a vaccine. Let me just...
So, look, we know what this question is about. Whenever we're talking about for the betterment of people, not a certain segment of people, we're talking about every people. All people. We're talking about poor people, middle class people. Usually those are the people we're talking
vulnerable
about.
People.
The vulnerable people. Disenfranchised communities. People that actually need assistance. When we're talking about those people, whenever you're talking about a cost, a program that is for those people, I mean, it's for everybody, but specifically, again, these people need assistance. Mm-hmm. When we're talking about those programs, the question always is, from the media, from politicians, from everybody, how are we going to pay for it? We never asked how we're going to pay for a number of different things like corporate subsidies, how we're going to pay for war. You heard that brought up. Never is the case. But to save American lives, the subject is, how are we going to pay for it? Again, and you heard the response, what is going to be the cost of not paying for it? Why are we not just initially just looking at this as an investment? Like we should be talking about with, healthcare and, education in this country. If we want to build a society where we are the innovators and we are doing things so that this economy is strong, and going forward it progresses to even just a greater strength, then we would make investments in people in this country so that they can lead to better outcomes for this nation.
The Fed just is pumping in trillions of dollars right now to prop up the market.
You talked about that, right? This is a headline, all right? This is a headline that Mike sent me earlier. Fed to pump in more than $1 trillion in dramatic ramping up of market intervention amid coronavirus meltdown. So you talked about how the Dow Jones, all the markets tumbling, crashing, plummeting. Earlier today, the trading had to be suspended for 15 minutes because it was plummeting so fast.
Hey, but maybe these, this Dow Jones industrials need to pick themselves up by their bootstraps
and not get assistance,
and stop expecting free stuff from the government.
Yeah, handouts.
Handouts.
Welfare.
I do like the attitude that was shown.
Yeah. Disgust.
They were like, excuse me, like,
yeah. How dare you ask about how much is going to cost?
Because it's talking about monetary costs and not like the cost in regard to lives.
Yeah.
That should be the most important cost they're looking at.
It should be.
But I guess those people are worthless.
Yeah.
Not just talking about, people who can't afford it, but you also have prison populations.
Yeah.
You also have homeless populations. So I guarantee you, if those people go neglected, it will affect all of us.
Now, again, we talked about Trump's response, this administration's response, and it was muted. It wasn't really revealing how significant this outbreak is. And now we know that, yes, it has been declared a pandemic. We are seeing virtually everything shut down across the United States of America. We're talking about sporting events. We're talking about conferences, conventions.
What about Harvard?
Shows,
colleges. Because there's a lot of universities on spring break right now. They go in like waves. They don't. All the universities don't go with spring break at the very same time. But the students who are on spring break now, I think it was Harvard. I could be mistaken, but they told those students don't come back. They said do not come back. And I don't disagree with that because, that's a prestigious university. I'm pretty sure a lot of those students have some very exotic spring break locations. I know a lot of the students that go to the University of South Carolina here in Columbia. I've been talking to them, and I'm just surprised at some of the places they're going. I'm like, damn, man, like, you going where? Like, who paying for that? So a lot of these students are going not just like in vacation, like to Florida or to California, places like Mexico. They're going like overseas.
Yeah, foreign countries.
And they're coming back. They're coming back from these places.
Yeah.
Not only they're coming back from these places, they're going to come back and intend to celebrate some more. Because what's coming up next week? The 17th.
Yeah, St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day. That's one of the most, celebrated days, especially amongst college students because it's a bunch of drinking. Yeah. So they're coming back from spring break, back from other places in the world, and they're coming the following week and partying for St. Patrick's Day. I wonder if that could potentially cause a problem. And
now, a lot of these planned celebrations though are being canceled. Because I know in a lot of states, gatherings of either like 250 or 500 people.
Yeah, it just depends.
That's being outlawed. That's why a lot of these sporting events are being canceled as well. But you talked about spring break in Miami, when that's the destination for spring breakers.
Oh yeah.
Miami Beach, the mayor of Miami Beach.
We don't know nothing about that.
No, we don't know about that. But yeah, the mayor of Miami Beach said, spring break is over. That's a quote. That's a direct quote from him. He said that the restaurants will remain open, but he is discouraging anybody from traveling to Miami to celebrate because we don't want you. We don't want you here.
Yeah, sorry, it's like, nah, you're not bringing nothing to this city. It's like, we probably have to deal with our own stuff. Yeah. You're not bringing it in here. And like, as much advice that is given, like to the public, come on, like, people come to party.
Yeah.
People come to have a good time.
They're not going to listen to that.
They're not going to be worried about spreading germs when they're in the club.
Right.
They worried about getting into the club, getting to the bar, getting a little something, you know what I'm saying, hooking up, you know, just getting toe up, whatever they do. They're not going to be like worried about hand sanitizer or washing their hands. They're just not.
Having a good time and drinking, that's going to be the last thing on your mind. In terms of these sporting events, before some of this recent news has been coming out, which I'll get to, the NBA, National Basketball Association, they had been toying with the idea of having no fans in the stands at all. It would just be players, referees, team personnel, cameramen, stuff like that, maybe announcers, I guess. But there were going to be no fans in the stands because of this outbreak, and they didn't want to, contribute to this virus spreading even more. Especially in certain places, it would have been illegal to do so anyways, because again, like we're talking about more than 500 people in a gathering, that would be outlawed. So before some of this recent news, NBA games were going to be played with no fans. Well, that's been scrapped now. Now the NBA has been totally suspended. So suspended, we don't know exactly what that means, but it is on an indefinite pause as of right now. So the regular season has not been completed. We don't know if at some point later it will be completed. We don't know if the playoffs is going to commence or not. We have no idea. It's just, this is something new right now. Now, there was one player that tested positive for this virus. His name is Rudy Gobert, plays for the Utah Jazz. He tested positive. He also got another one of his teammates infected as well, Donovan Mitchell. So right now, the Utah Jazz, I believe they're under quarantine. But, of course, they have played different teams as well. And Rudy Gobert has shared the court with, I believe they counted 34 different players during the last week or so.
They're touching the same ball.
Yeah, sweat, all of
sweat,
this.
and it's like, I think it's probably more important that like professional basketball players get tested, because they're interacting not just with other players, but many of them are interacting with fans, like signing autographs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're traveling. So I'm not saying they're more important, but based on their activities, it'll be more important to, test these NBA players than like a regular person, so just because of their proximity to people.
But it's not just the NBA. But again, they did suspend their season. Major League Baseball, their season is due to start pretty soon, and so they have pushed back the opening of the season by at least 2 weeks. Major League Soccer suspended. Hockey, the NHL suspended their season as well. What else? The NCAA
tournament.
NCAA men's basketball and women's basketball tournament. Madness.
No March Madness. March Sadness. It's March Sadness now.
The word that they used was not suspended. The word they used was canceled.
What else did they cancel?
The tournament has been canceled.
So that's basketball.
That's basketball.
They cancel anything else?
What do you mean?
Like anything else, like all other sports.
Well, I just went through that. NHL, MLB.
No, the NCAA.
Oh, the NCAA.
Yeah.
Like what?
Like did they cancel like any of the other sports? Because it's not just basketball. Because you got other sports as well, like other winners, like that are.
Yeah. So the winter sports as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's they're closing everything down across the United States of America. All of these gatherings are being closed down because, again, people are so concerned about spreading this virus even further.
I didn't look into it, but I'm wondering, about, huge facilities. You know what I'm saying, that employ a lot of different people. Like there's a huge like Verizon hub here in Columbia, South Carolina. I can't remember how many people they employ. I heard 2,000 plus. Like,
that's a large gathering.
I know when I was driving here, it didn't seem like there was a lot of people out on the road. Not as many as there normally are. It didn't seem like there was a lot of people. I feel like traffic was sparse.
Disneyland is closed. Like Broadway closed. Everything is closing that will attract people to it.
That makes sense, and they're doing the right thing. I saw it was weird. I saw a clip from The View, and they wanted to show that they were doing a show where there was no studio audience. It was just weird. It just didn't seem right. It seemed like a episode of Black Mirror or something.
Look, we haven't seen anything like this before, and it's looking less and less like a hoax. I'll just say that. It didn't appear like it was a hoax to me even to begin with, but there is something to be said about comparing this to other infections and other infectious diseases throughout modern history at least. And there has been H1N1, there has been SARS. The difference that I can see with this compared to those other diseases, those other viruses, is that one, the fatality rate for this coronavirus, which they're calling COVID-19.
Yeah.
The fatality rate is pretty significant. It far surpasses something like just the regular flu. At first, I believe they were saying 1 in 10 people were dying. I think it's a little bit higher than that now. But still, the fatality rate is very alarming. But not just that, the ability for this virus to spread is something that we have not seen as well. So with SARS, I believe, based on some statistics, it had a greater fatality rate, but it did not spread to the rate that this one did. I think SARS infected something like 8,000 people. Now H1N1, that infected a far greater amount of people, but the fatality rate was nowhere near what this is. So we're talking about in terms of deaths overall with this one. Like I said, I think that like over 4,700 right now globally. That far surpasses what happened with H1N1 and what happened with SARS as well. So people are freaking out, and it seems like it's justified.
2 weeks ago, Italy had 322 confirmed cases. That was 2 weeks ago. A week ago, they had 2,500. You know what they have today? What today was like a couple days ago? 10,000.
My gosh.
So it went from 300, went from around 300 to 2 weeks ago to 2,000 a week later. And a week after that, a week and a half really, over 10,000.
See, for me, look, for me, I don't believe in it. I could be wrong. I don't know all the information about this virus and who's been infected and who has died as a result of it as well. Now, the information that I've been seeing is that people with underlying health conditions, they have significant illnesses already before they got infected with this coronavirus. Those are the people that I guess are susceptible to this being a fatal condition. Also older people as well. I don't believe that I've heard of anybody that was young, like kids dying, very young kids, healthy, 30, 40, 50 years. I don't think I've heard of that before. I mean, I don't think I've heard of that.
You haven't seen a case where somebody who was young died from it.
Right. I don't think. Maybe it happened, I'm not sure. But it seems like it is affecting older people more so than anybody else. And then, again, people that have some underlying condition. That's still significant, though. Because even if it is not going to kill just your regular healthy individual,
that person is still contagious.
Yes, and that's a carrier. And that person that person is contagious, that somebody can infect somebody else.
Even if it doesn't even if it doesn't severely affect them health-wise, or result in them dying, they can still spread it to somebody else.
Which, again, it's a pandemic. It's been declared a pandemic for a reason. For me, knowing all that has come out so far, and seeing all of these institutions close down, all of these big business operations.
Capitalism.
To see all this money being lost, right? For me, and this is not based on anything that I can prove, but it's just a feeling for me that it feels like it's worse than what may be even being reported. For me, the ability for all of these capitalists
to be like, oh shit, we got to shut this down and lose money.
We know what greed is all across this country and world.
It's just the people,
you think they care about deaths?
People before profit, right?
Yeah. No. It's profit before people. We know it's profit before people.
Exactly.
So we how many businesses are guilty of poisoning water systems, right? Leading to the deaths of people. Poisoning the environment, leading to the death of people. They don't care about that. They'll pay a little fine, drop in a bucket, keep it moving. Mm-hmm. But here we have everything shutting down. March Madness shutting down. You know how much lost revenue that is? Now, I know that, the stock market is crumbling, no doubt. It's tumbling, it's plummeting. And if you have the money, damn, you can get some stocks pretty cheap. Now, is that going to account for the money that's going to be lost by all of these businesses?
No. And we don't know how long it's going to be down.
That's true.
Considering that there is no vaccine.
That's true.
It's like they won't start to recover until the vaccine starts to be distributed.
And we're talking about
until we have widespread testing, widespread treatment. Like, that's the only way people are going to gain confidence.
And we're, by all accounts, we are a long ways off from that vaccine. By all accounts.
Months.
I heard 18 months. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I haven't seen anybody say that, oh yeah, in a couple months we'll have it. No. Several, multiple months before a vaccine could be made. So what's going to happen in between now and that time? How much money is going to be lost in this economy? Not just this economy, but globally as well. How much how much are people going to be willing to put themselves out there to get infected or to infect others too? Because right now, if you've been to the grocery store, if you've been to Walmart, if you've seen some videos on social media, there's some fights breaking out over toilet paper right now. If you go to the store, you may not be able to find any toilet paper. People are freaking the hell out.
If you want toilet paper, if you can, it's probably best to order it offline.
Probably so. Yeah.
Whatever people are like taking off the shelves, it might be best for you to order that junk offline.
I'm talking about people are fighting.
Yeah.
People are fighting.
Because see, it's worse than like a Black Friday. This is literally like death. This is death. This is life or death that people are, worried about. So it's worse than Black Friday. So if you do go to the grocery store or you have to go to Walmart, hopefully it's a 24-hour one and you go like in the middle of the night where there's not a lot of people there. But man, like,
this is something that, look, again, in modern times, I don't think we've seen anything quite like this at all. Haven't seen a response like this at all. We've seen illnesses. We've seen viruses. We've seen possible outbreaks. We've heard about all this before, but something like this, the global economy on the brink of shutdown, that is something different. I don't know where this is going to lead. I don't think anybody has a real good handle on what this is going to lead to. I can't sit up here and tell you.
I guarantee you
it's going to get better in 2 weeks.
I can tell you what it's going to lead to. It's going to lead to Trump maybe giving some contracts to some people, some labs for not only testing, but for vaccines, giving some government contracts to his friends. That's probably what it's going to lead to. Somebody's going to benefit off of this. But again, as far as Trump goes, it's weird that the people around him didn't kind of privately make provisions for this. They could have done that because we know Trump is not cognitively sound. He's not cognitively sound. So, and he's not checking up on anything. We know what he does all day. He's either golfing or he's just waking up, watching TV, eating McDonald's. He ain't checking on nothing. On Twitter. I understand that, the people around him were afraid to undercut him because he was making a lot of public statements and he was putting a lot of his people in a bind. So I understand the fear of undercutting your boss, the president. But it's going to come back to bite you and him.
Yeah.
Why not just like say, yes, boss, yes, you're right, boss, and then be like, yo, man, we gotta do this behind closed doors. We gotta do this behind his back. Like, why not do that? You know, Trump is not checking on anything. All he's worried about is what people say on the media and what the media says. He doesn't pay attention to anybody else. They could have worked behind the scenes and, formulated some contingency plans. You know what I'm saying? To protect their guy, right? Because it's all about protecting Trump, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's all about protecting Trump. Now, I don't care about protecting Trump. I don't like Trump. Like, he's an awful president. He's an awful person. But I'm just saying, if that's their job, to protect his image, they sure enough did a bad job. You see what I'm saying? Because you have to work with what you have. And what they have is somebody who makes false statements. They have somebody who fabricates things. They have somebody who downplayed a pandemic. So they don't want to undercut that. But again, they can undercut that privately. They can make sure shit is taken care of. They didn't even do that. So not only did they not protect Americans, they didn't even protect the president's reputation. Essentially, that's really their only job is to protect his reputation. And I don't even like the dude. And I know how I think I could have done a better job at protecting his reputation. And I don't even like him. I'm not bound by him. And I can come up with something. But they couldn't. This is why I don't like the whole idea of, when Trump's gone, we'll be able to work with Republicans. That's Biden's narrative.
Yeah, it is.
These Republicans,
we'll be able to work with these
but these Republicans are enabling Trump. So are you going to be able to work with that?
I guess it is difficult, I guess, trying to get around Trump because he's going to challenge you in the media. I mean, like, if it's not what he once said, he's going to say what he wants.
Oh, no. I agree. Yeah. I just said, that's why I said behind closed doors.
Yeah.
They can talk to the CDC behind closed doors.
True.
They can talk to the World Health Organization without Trump knowing. Trump don't care. He just wants to be like.
But what do you do? And not to, I'm not trying to say these Republicans, but what do you do if you are them? Like if you're Senator James Lankford, who is a Republican, you've seen President Trump saying, this whole time, really, hey, if you want a test, you can get a test. That's false.
That was at the time. That was false.
Yeah. Well, like what? You can't say anything but like, yeah, that's false. I can't save him. And I commend him for actually telling the truth there. There's nothing else you can do, I guess, unless you just hide.
True that.
Unless you just hide from the media. That's the only thing you can do. I don't know. Again, what's the chances that this is going to weigh heavily on a voter's mind?
That's depending on what voter. It depends on what voter. Like, we all know that, Fox News, who appeals to Trump voters, kind of tried to, I guess, manage this.
Oh yeah.
And and they called it what?
A hoax?
Was it Trish Regan?
Yeah, I believe so.
Trish Regan, yeah. Called it a hoax. Called it a
compared it to the impeachment.
Yeah, compared to coronavirus impeachment.
Yeah.
Saying it was just, this is a conspiracy to hurt the president. Those voters probably, they don't care.
Does it matter how long this persists? Do you think it matters how long this persists? Like how bad it may get for just your regular person. I mean, we don't know when the testing will be. James Lankford said that. I guess we're working our way there. Maybe in the next couple of weeks or something like that, we'll be able to test everybody. But how long? Like, how hurtful is this going to be for people? Are they going to have to miss work? How hard is it for them to be able to get toilet paper, bottled water?
Well, it's not just that. It's going to be the response to that. And can Donald Trump get in front of it? And I don't think so, because it just seems as though he's just trying to protect himself. And it's been like that since the beginning. He's tried to protect himself from the beginning. And he didn't even need to, because it wasn't his fault. Like, how do you fuck up something when it's not even your fault? Like, this is what we're dealing with here. Like, he fucked something up that's not even his fault. It's one of those, it's like with the Ukraine thing. Like, he probably didn't even need to do it.
That's true. Yeah, probably not.
I mean, maybe he understood the DNC was going to push Biden. He may have understood that, but he didn't know that.
Did he have to try to damage him?
No, because he
ahead of
could.
it?
He probably didn't have to do that. Now, from what I've seen lately with Republicans, it looks like as if they're still going to use that as a campaign strategy against Biden.
So yeah, why even try to precede that? Like, I mean, it's still going to be a hit. It's still going to be an attack on Biden.
It's still going to be,
and it's going to be useful too.
Yeah, I don't like all the I guess the back channel that he created. I don't think that was necessary because they could have still used it politically.
And that's what we said
that's
before.
And that's all they can do now because there's no investigations.
Right.
So he didn't even have to do it. So that was another instance where he just kind of
created a problem.
Created a problem for himself. I think this is another situation where he created a problem for himself because it's not like he could do anything about it. I mean, even
just
if
manage it,
just manage it.
Yeah.
I can't remember which case it was. I don't know if it was H1N1, SARS, bird flu, swine flu. I can't remember. But I could be. Am I misremembering this? But I thought like Obama got he either a swab in his mouth or some sample, and he got like tested like publicly just to kind of calm people down. And he's basically saying, "I got this." I think if Trump would have did that, he doesn't come out looking so bad in this case. But from the jump, he was like, "Oh, hey, stock market, we're cool. Economy, I'm the best. Don't worry, everything's good. It's not that bad. No cases. We're cool. We're the best. America, rah rah. Economy." Like, because that's the sense. Like every single address he's made, almost every single address he's made in regards to this coronavirus situation, he always interjects something about the economy in it.
Right. And like you said before, we haven't reached, I don't think anybody can say that we have reached the peak of the reporting on this, on how many people have been infected and how many people are going to die even in this country because, one, of a failure of testing. So we don't know how many people out there are infected, don't know they're infected because they haven't been tested.
And it didn't even seem like Trump wanted people to get tested. He doesn't even want to get tested, even though he was exposed to someone who tested positive for the virus, some Brazilian official. Both him and Mike Pence said, "We ain't gonna get no test." I'm like, yo, man, like you are literally like screwing yourself again. He's probably gonna blame the media, he's gonna blame Democrats. But this is another instance where, if he gets tested, him and Pence, and it comes out negative, they were like, that was a good show of leadership right there, even though it wouldn't be, but it would be for Trump. So again, this is definitely not Trump's fault, but it's the way it's playing out. It's going to show that he mismanaged it. He didn't have to though. He's so narcissistic that it just happened the way it did.
According to information, the U.S. response has been mismanaged. The U.S. response is far behind other countries, just in terms of testing. Why? I mean, like, just because you wanted to preserve this, I guess, this win for you, just to be like, hey, stock market is mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's good. It's always good. And that's because of me. It seems as though that was so much more important than just dealing with an outbreak that, like you said, not your fault. Not your fault. Not your fault. Oh, man. But, again, look, we're living in 2020, though. All right? So, we talked about Biden before. We talked about Biden and his repeated lies and just the egregious lie telling. And how, even with all of that information being right there for anybody that wants to actually listen to it, read it, what have you. He's a far better candidate in 2020 with more lies than he was in 1988 with less lies.
When he was disqualified, essentially.
He had
disqualified. He had to drop out.
Not just by people was he disqualified, but the media reported on this. And they virtually said that his campaign is dead because of all these lies. And the people responded. He got nowhere. He dropped out because he was disqualified. In 2020, though, with more lies, more egregious lies, everybody's rallying behind him.
And again, not just the lies, though. Like his voting record. If you go down the list, he is no different than a damn Republican. He's no different than a conservative Republican. If you look at his voting record, I mean, when he was on the debate stage with Sarah Palin, because during that election, they had a debate between the vice presidents, or the vice presidential candidates, sorry. And both of them were up on stage. You know where there was alignment between him and Sarah Palin?
I recall.
Do you know where there was alignment?
Yeah, there was that was the issue of gay
Same
marriage.
sex, yes.
Yeah, marriage equality.
Oh, there was no fire. There were no fireworks at all.
Nope.
It was all like, oh yeah, that's what we agree on that issue.
Yeah.
This was in 2008.
Yeah, 2008.
2008. So it's not just his lies and how he fabricates stories and whatnot, just outright makes shit up, but his record.
But I only say that to say that with Trump,
unprogressive record.
But I only, pointing out the lies and how much better of a candidate he is in 2020. I'm just saying the response to Trump's lies about this pandemic, I'm not sure how affected he's going to be. Now, again, we don't know what's coming. All right. We don't know what's coming. I can't tell you what next week is going to look like or the week after that. So I don't know if it's going to change the outlook on Trump, even from his base. I can't tell you it for sure, but I can tell you in 2020, it seems as though it doesn't matter like what your record is. It doesn't matter how many lies you tell. It just doesn't matter whatsoever. That support never goes anywhere. So I'm not sure that this is going to harm President Trump at all, which is something. It says something about what the human condition is like. It says something for how humans have not evolved, but in 30 years at least, just going back from 1988, how the human condition has completely devolved and gotten much worse, where shit that should matter does not matter whatsoever.
Well, that's true. But if we're looking at 2020 specifically, right, what we have in Trump is helping Biden, right? So we have a lot of fear driving support for Biden. And just from what I see, especially after Biden's Super Tuesday success and then the next Tuesday, Mini Tuesday success, you see a lot more people saying, yeah, see, we need to beat Trump. We need to beat Trump. And what you can't do, I think it's pointless and it's futile. And I figured this out quick, not from my activity, but kind of a few interactions I've had. But I've been more or less be an observer. Don't bring it up. You can't bring up any of his lies. It doesn't matter. Don't bring up any of his lies. True. Don't even bring up any of his record. You can't do it because all it is about is defeating Trump, which doesn't make any sense considering if you're looking at his record and if you're looking at how he votes and if you look at his agenda, it's just like Republicans.
Right.
So, like, I don't know why you wouldn't want to, factor that into your voting decision.
Yeah.
Because if the idea is because they're telling on themselves. Because if it's about getting rid of Trump and that's it, then it seems very superficial.
It does.
Because wouldn't it be about not voting for somebody who has the same ideals and same qualities, not just the same characteristics superficially, but the party itself, like the characteristics of the party's agenda, the characteristics of the Republican Party agenda, and that's Biden. So what are they trying to get rid of? They're just trying to get rid of a bad guy, but not really deal with who's replacing that bad guy and the world that particular person that they support will create. So what do they really care about? They just care about the mean guy, the mean orange guy, the mean orange man.
We've talked about the running counter of lies that, is attributed to Trump is I think it's in the tens of thousands. I don't pay attention to it, but anybody that's being honest, you'd have to admit that this man lies repeatedly. And even when he doesn't even have to, he lies. So you're going to replace him with somebody that may not tell as many lies, but we don't know. He hasn't been president yet. So I can't say that for sure. But still somebody that has a serious problem when it comes to the truth. And so we hear all about this restoring integrity to the office, and you're restoring integrity with somebody that lies to get votes, especially from black people, panders to black people with misinformation, not just misinformation, just egregious lies. You're going to restore integrity with that? It's just, we don't need to, like you said, we don't need to discuss the problems really with Joe Biden anymore. We've done that so many times. Like you said, it doesn't work. Pointing out his failed policies, pointing out the trouble in his record, pointing out his ability to look just like a Republican, pointing out the lies, all of this stuff does not matter. There was a quote, and I don't have it. There was a quote, though, that you shared with me about somebody saying, I think it was somebody responding to something said on Twitter, saying that all these negative things that you're saying about Biden makes me want to vote for him even more.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was Facebook.
It was Facebook?
Actually, I don't even... Was it something I shared with you? I think you shared.
Did I share?
You shared the actual the post.
Okay.
And then I went down to the comments and I saw a comment. It was basically you couldn't argue with anything in the video, or it was either a post or a video. I can't remember. Somebody posted on Facebook.
It was a negative ad, I guess, or a negative post.
It was
Biden.
basically going through all his contradiction, all his blatant lies, his record, basically like all the relevant issues that people would need to inform themselves. And yeah, this person, like one of the top comments, it wasn't a top comment because people liked it, but people laughed at it.
Yeah.
And so this person said, this negative ad, and he spelled ads with 2 D's, but he's like, this negative ad just makes me want to vote for Joe Biden even more. I was like,
that makes no sense. And people, of course, were calling it out. But think about how, think about how absolutely ridiculous that is.
Said, these negative ads do nothing but make me want to vote for Joe. You're in the same party, so act like it. I was like,
you know what that means?
You know what that means?
You can't pay attention to what is troublesome about a candidate.
He worried about that D.
Can't.
And like I said last show, the D ain't even that good. But yet they still like it. And they still keep coming back for it. I mean, how dumb would somebody look if they said like, let's see, I don't know, these negative ratings on vital safety features makes me want to buy the car now. It makes me want to buy the car. I'm like, wait, if I see negative ratings on vital safety features, I wouldn't say like, well, it makes me want to buy the car even more now. Essentially what he's saying with Biden is like, hey, all this stuff, even though it's true, all these negative ratings about Biden, all these things you're pointing out, it makes me want to vote for him even more. Right. That to me, that seems cultish. That seems cultish to me.
It does, because you're not paying attention to, like you said, relevant things about a candidate. It just seems that decades before, relevance mattered. It just seems that not just to the average voter, but to the media as well. But all of that has been flipped on its head, and you can't even if you talk about it, the lie that Joe Biden told about Nelson Mandela got about a minute of coverage, no pushback, well, hold on, how in the world could you say you got arrested? I'm glad that you're clearing things up, but it seems as though you said arrested, you used that choice word to do something when
did the lie occur? When did that lie occur?
Leading up to the South Carolina primary.
But
knowing that the South Carolina Democratic base is majority black.
But the cover up was worse than the crime, though.
It was.
If you watch the cover up, oh my gosh, the cover up was much worse than the crime. And Vegas in the chat. When I talked about superficial, talking about superficial similarities. I was making a distinction between ideological as far as policy-wise and laws and how he lines up with Republicans, and just like social affect and how, how he presents himself. There's certain superficial similarities. They do matter, but I kind of wanted to make a distinction between that and then how Biden aligned with the Republican Party conservatives. That's what I was talking about when I meant superficial. Talking about just being a pathological liar. Yes, it may play out politically, but that's more or less like a superficial kind of personality trait or quirk. But I feel you.
Anyway, look, this is, you know, we didn't show this on the last show, but this is we want to show you this clip of President Trump. Right, he had a town hall that was on Fox News, and he was responding to a question about healthcare in this country. He was responding to a question, I believe it was about pre-existing conditions. Because as we know, President Trump has talked about pre-existing conditions more than once. He has talked about it often, actually. And usually, President Trump talks about that pre-existing conditions is always going to be covered. Now, we know that the effort to throw away the ACA, to completely end the ACA, not just the individual mandate, but if you throw all of it in the garbage, there goes the pre-existing conditions as well. There is no plan to replace anything from the Republican Party. As President Trump has stated before, just reelect me, and then afterwards, we got something great for you. We will be known as the party of healthcare.
But before he became president, he said all Americans would have better, cheaper healthcare.
Right.
He was going to repeal and replace. Remember that? Repeal and replace. That's what he said. That was going to be one of his first things he does. First things he did when he got in office. It was like defeat ISIS.
The wall.
Lock Hillary up.
That's right. That's right.
And healthcare. And then my dumb naive ass. What did I think? When like leading up to like the whole
to the re-election.
What did I think?
Oh, he was going to deliver on healthcare
because that was going to be his. That was going to be his. He was going to be his big dismount.
Nope.
That was going to be his dismount.
He threw out some more bait.
I was like, the
same bait.
I was like, I feel something coming because this Joker is performing horribly.
Yes.
I was like, this Joker has to have something up his sleeve. I was like, you know what? Maybe it's going to be healthcare. Because we know how he hates Obama's legacy.
Right.
So, instead of destroying it, maybe he's just going to like one-up Obama. I was like, yeah, he's going to do that. I was like, he's going to do something. He has to do something to, one-up Democrats, and he's going to do that. And then what happens?
Nope. And we're talking about months before right now. He made this statement months ago about that the Republican Party was going to be known as the party of healthcare, but after re-election.
But he said, yeah. So it's like, I promise y'all gonna get the healthcare I was talking about in 2015 and 2016.
Yes.
Now you gonna get it, but you gotta wait until after you re-elect me.
Yes.
So I was like, damn, there goes my damn theory.
So anyway, again, let's get back to this clip. All right. So again, in this clip, they're gonna be talking about healthcare and pre-existing conditions. Just notice how Trump responds and if it's an answer or not.
I just want to follow up quickly on that because the issue of pre-existing conditions, you say you're going to protect them, but your administration is also fighting Obamacare in the courts. So how do you promise people that you're going to protect them based on that?
That's what I said. We want to terminate Obamacare because it's bad. Look, we're running it really well, but we know it's defective. It's very defective. We got rid of the worst part. And that was a very important thing. Getting rid of the individual mandate was a very important thing. But we want to get something. If we can get the House, you'll have the best health care and health insurance anywhere on the planet. But we have to get the House back. Now, that means we have to hold the Senate. We have to get the House. We have to obviously keep the White House. But what we're doing is managing it really well. Now, it's a case, it's called Texas versus, you understand, it's Texas is suing. They want to terminate it. But everybody there is also saying, and everybody, we have our great senator from Pennsylvania. Thank you very much, Pat, for being here. And Pat Toomey. But very important, and by the way, our great congressman, I have to say, they were warriors, right? Real warriors in terms of the fake impeachment, I will tell you that. But so Texas is, and it's Texas and many states, they're trying to terminate, but they want to put something that's much better. They're terminating it to put much better, and they've all pledged that pre-existing conditions 100% taken care of.
Yo, this is all you right here. Because I don't know how to translate that. So this is all you, man. He said some things.
He said some things.
I mean, it looked like you were deciphering it. So I'm just leaving it up to you. This is all you, man, because he didn't say anything. What was the question pertaining to? The question was pertaining to what are you going to do
about pre-existing
conditions. And I do love kind of how she qualified the question.
Yeah.
And she was like, hey, the Republicans are right now doing everything that they can to get rid of Obamacare and everything connected to it. So what are you going to do about these pre-existing conditions? I didn't hear one thing. I didn't hear half a thing.
Well,
I didn't hear a fourth of a thing. I didn't hear anything.
He started. He was like, "Oh yeah, pre-existing conditions. They're gonna be saved." I've always said that. And if we get the House back, then yeah, we can get great health coverage, pre-existing conditions. I'm gonna distract you. I'm gonna distract you by saying, a nod to these senators over here. Yes, Texas and some other states
versus
impeachment sham, but they were warriors. Pre-existing conditions always, great.
See, that is something that is, I wouldn't say it's unique to Trump. Because I think the deflection. Yeah, I think a lot of people do that. Like when they're stumped and when they know that they are just, they know that they are kind of.
They don't have an answer.
Not only do they not have an answer, he didn't have an answer here, but when it's very visible, when it's very clear that you don't have an answer and you can't explain yourself, you have to find a distraction. Again, I don't think Trump is unique in this.
No, he's not.
I think humans do that in general.
He does it worse than others.
Yeah, even during comedians do that when they're up on stage. Yeah. Like they'll try to loosen the audience when the joke doesn't go well. They'd be like, "So, ladies in the house tonight, something stupid. All y'all looking good, blah blah blah." So they kind of some sort of distraction. In this case, this is not comedy. This is something that pertains to people's lives. And he didn't have an answer.
And the spotlight's on him.
And the spotlight's on him. Yeah. He didn't have an answer because they're not doing anything about pre-existing conditions.
And they have no intention to do it. I like how he says that all we got to do is get back the House, and then you'll get great health care. You had the House. You had the Senate. You had the White House for 2 years. For 2 years. And Mike just revealed some of the things that President Trump wanted to get done immediately getting into office. One of those being health care. And all that they tried to do was further their effort to repeal Obamacare. They didn't introduce anything new like, oh, this is a great health care idea. This is the Republican model. This is the Republican plan. No, all of it was just to limit Obamacare or completely repeal it. That's it. So you had the House, but now you're telling people, no, if you vote for us again, then come on, man. But see, the problem is that people are going to eat this shit up like it's for dinner, like it's something good for him, like he's telling the truth. He hasn't given you anything to believe in, actually. He hasn't given you anything that says healthcare is on the way if only you reelect me and put the House back in Republican hands. It doesn't sound true. There's no evidence that it's true. We don't see any plan in the making. When he said that the Republican Party would be the party of healthcare, we're still over a year away from the inauguration, from the next inauguration. You're telling me that in a year you can't put together a proposal? It doesn't matter if the House is in control by the Democratic Party. That doesn't matter whatsoever. Let them decline it.
And then actually that might look good on you. That might look good on him.
Yes. Because, hey, look at these people being obstructionists.
Wait, look. We tried to give people health care, and look at these Democrats.
You're telling me that is standing in your way from just developing a plan?
Because they don't have a plan. They don't have a plan.
But again, how much is this going to hurt them? How much is this going to hurt them? It's 2020. Again, you got to understand what 2020
you know what?
is.
What we were just talking about. What were we just talking about the previous segment? Coronavirus.
Yeah.
All right. I do think not only does that undercut Donald Trump's whole narrative about what makes him a great president, and that's the stock market and the numbers that the stock market shoots out or whatever. But his whole campaign slogan for 2020 is what?
Keep America great.
America great. I think it undercuts that more than what he thinks his claim to fame is as a president. Like, keep America great. What state is America going to be in November?
Oh, damn.
You
So
see what I'm saying?
How can you use that?
How can you use that?
Keep America great. Stock market might be in shambles.
Zombie apocalypse.
All of it.
All of that.
Business dead. Sports
Yo,
dead.
and see, that's crazy. And I think people in general, just regular people, sink themselves into sports more so than the stock market.
No doubt.
So that keeps people, like, I guess, happy. You know how sports is.
Oh, yeah.
Sports just gets people up.
Yeah, it connects people.
It connects people.
Yeah.
Just makes people like, yeah, okay, I got something else to get up for, whatever.
True.
You know what? I definitely don't like to kind of hint at population control, because if I say a blessing in disguise, that's what I would be saying. But in certain catastrophes and bad things, there's always another side to it. So now we have NBA. We got NBA canceled, MLB canceled, soccer canceled, college sports canceled. Wonder what that's going to result in. People are going to have a lot of time on their hands. I'm pretty sure some people are going to sink, some of that time into doing other, things like watching movies, TV shows, recreational stuff. But you know what's a likely result? People want to pay attention to shit more because they don't have that time.
It's possible.
It's possible. I'm still hoping.
At least possible.
It's possible.
It's at least.
I'm hoping that's the case.
I'm not optimistic.
You're not too optimistic. I'm not either. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah.
I just do think it's funny that
1 + 1 does equal 2.
I just do think it's funny that all of those things that people think that their time and their energy into are gone now. So where are they going to devote that time now?
I mean, you have food preparers that are not doing the same things anymore because of the coronavirus. They're not preparing food in the same way because they don't want to spread this virus around. So you said watching movies. It's going to be at home. It's going to be at home. Because, before long, I don't know if they've already done it.
I tell you
with
what,
these movie theaters,
this coronavirus, and now we all introverts now. This social distancing, we all introverts now. Like, hey, yo, don't come over to my house. I'm cool. I got my movies. I got to catch up on TV shows. You know what? We could, I've done this before. We could FaceTime.
Yeah, man.
Or like we could message while watching the same movie at the same time, and that's fun. We could do that, but ain't coming over.
But like you said, introverts, man, it's gonna be house. We're staying at the house.
Like, I ain't coming out unless I have to. And I ain't gonna lie. I might come out in a bodysuit or something.
I'm saying, man.
We might come out bodysuit.
And see, the only way this actually hurts him come election time is because it would be his own disaster. It would be his own doing. Mm-hmm. Because if he did treat it the way it was supposed to be treated, just like, hey, it's not my fault, but it's significant, it's a danger, we got to be vigilant, we got to try
be
to
strong.
Strong.
We're America.
Yeah, we got to. The response to this has to be more vigilant than any other nation.
And
right?
I promise,
we got to be leaders.
And I promise, as your president, I will lead the way. Regardless of how the market looks, we will bounce back.
Like, and it wouldn't have fell. No matter what happened, it wouldn't have fell on him. But when it comes down to election day, if you see sporting events are still canceled, if you see all of these gatherings that people are
NASCAR,
all this stuff that has been regular American life for decades. If this is non-existent by the time it comes to November, election day, it might hurt him. I don't know.
When are the country music awards? I'm just like trying to like focus on things where most likely
an audience. There's gonna be a presentation. It's just. I don't know. Like I said, we're just speculating, but there's no way to know exactly what's going to happen. I think what the like MLB saying that they're suspending their opening season for 2 weeks. I mean, that's just initially right now. Based on the other things that we're seeing going on right now, I think that's a very conservative estimate. I don't anticipate that we're going to see Major League Baseball 2 weeks later.
That
I
doesn't
just don't see
like
it.
there would have to be a significant change between that 2 weeks.
And how is that going to happen? When
The
rise
see,
in
now,
infections
no.
is still escalating.
See, that kind of announcement is a business move.
Oh yeah, that's a business move.
That's
don't
a business
get so
move.
afraid yet. You know?
Yeah, like hey,
we're still going to do
we're
it.
still going to do it. Don't try to
refund your tickets.
The tickets, yeah. That's a business move right there.
All right. Let's open this up for calls, and we can discuss Tuesday is not Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. Yeah, we can discuss Tuesday results. Biden definitely had a good night. Can't deny that whatsoever. We can talk about what it means, this and that. Let's put up the number on the screen if you would like to join the conversation, because look, if you want to talk about the coronavirus, if you want to talk about anything else, if you want to talk about Tuesday night, we'd be happy to hear from you. The floor is yours, but we will be talking about Tuesday night's events. Yeah. So look, Bernie Sanders, of course, planned on doing very well on Tuesday night. There were 6 states up for grabs. And as of right now, he has only won one of them, and that is North Dakota. So every other state has been called for Joe Biden except for the state of Washington. So we don't exactly know what that is going to come down to. At last look, I believe it was over 70% of the precincts reporting, and I saw that Biden was in the lead. Maybe with 2%. I'm not sure. I think it was about 2%. So like I said, I don't think that's been called as of yet. But we'll just have to see exactly what happens with that. But with the other states, Mississippi was a complete blowout. We knew that was going to happen. We didn't know exactly how big, but right now I believe he's up. It was like 80% to something in the I don't know. I think Bernie was at like 14%, something like that. I think he got 1 delegate. Missouri, again, very wide margin. Not as wide, of course, as Mississippi, but he did beat them by a wide margin in Missouri. Michigan, where many people believe that Bernie Sanders had a very strong chance at winning because of his success in 2016 against Hillary Clinton. Didn't come close to beating Joe Biden at all. Joe Biden ran away with it. Had more than 100,000 votes. I think more than 200,000 votes than Bernie Sanders. And then Idaho as well. Idaho was another state that Bernie Sanders won in 2016. That fell, to Joe Biden as well. So only state, again, that Bernie Sanders won was North Dakota. Washington is still up for grabs. I think it's still possible that any one of them, any one of the 2 candidates can win it. Just to look at it right now, 85% of the vote in. Biden is up about 2 percentage points, about 25,000 votes. So, I mean, it's looking in Biden's favor. That was a state that we were pretty confident that Bernie Sanders was going to win. Mm-hmm. I mean, so if you look at the states on the map, Washington is one of the most progressive that you would say that are in the United States of America. But Biden's winning it. So, like I said, a bunch of reactions to that. Let's get a caller in to see what they have to say on this or maybe anything else. Caller is from the 919 area code. Caller, you are on the air live with LTMB.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
This is Calvin.
Yep.
Calvin, nice to hear from you, man. What's up with you?
Oh, I just had a quick hypothetical question for both of y'all. I just want to hear what y'all thought about this. Now, if you think that Bernie Sanders, do you think if you were him, would you try to, if you couldn't win, would you take a policy of slash and burn so Biden would be bloodied up so he wouldn't win the nomination? He would live to it. Plus, if you were Bernie, would you try to start some other type of tactic, like maybe get someone to run as a third party or something, that would carry your type of, philosophy into the election? So some type of split in the vote, like maybe back when, Ross Perot and Clinton and George Herbert Walker Bush were running. I mean, what would you think of? I'm just curious what y'all think about that. Just hypothetical stuff.
Well, interesting enough, you asking us that question. Someone recently shared a video of Lawrence O'Donnell. I don't know when this would have been. I don't know when it was. It was had to be over 10 years ago, right?
He looks much younger.
Much younger, 10, 12 years ago. And he was talking about his experience, I guess, as I don't know if he was a consultant or something. Whatever. Strategist for the Democratic Party. And you know what he said? He said that the only way that the Democratic Party, and this would apply to any party, but he was specifically talking about the Democratic Party, the only way that the Democratic Party would even listen to progressives or those on the left is if they withhold their vote. This is somebody who worked with the Democratic Party. Now, he said this. Now, a lot of the voting public have been saying that for the longest. Like, hey, you don't do anything for us. Why should we vote for you guys? So if we withhold our vote, maybe you lose. Maybe that might teach you a lesson. And maybe next time you can actually, grow a spine and actually do something for people. That's what a lot of citizens, regular people, have been saying for a long time. So to hear it come out of the mouth from somebody who now works for the corporate media, and who used to work closely with the Democratic Party, to hear him say that, yeah, the only way to, see that your agenda is at least catered to or even given a look is to withhold your vote. And that's exactly what he said. I'm going to be sharing that video a lot.
I remember him saying that.
And I tell you what, right now, you can't guilt me with somebody like Biden. You might be able to guilt me with somebody like Elizabeth Warren, maybe. You might be able to guilt me with somebody like Julian Castro, maybe. You might be able to guilt me with somebody, even Kamala. You might be able to guilt me with somebody like that. Those three people. Maybe even Cory Booker. But I'm just making a comparison to Joe Biden. But Joe Biden, I don't see how anybody in their right mind could guilt me with Joe Biden when he is not bringing anything to the table. Not only is he not bringing anything to the table that fits my agenda, I'm talking about X next to every damn thing. It's not just my agenda, right? He checks that box next to all these things that these Democrats or Democratic voters, not establishment Democrats, but people who vote Democrat, he checks all the wrong boxes for them too. That's the funny part about that. When I hear people talk about their worldview and what they don't like to see and changes they want to see in the government and their ideology, their agenda, right? Joe Biden doesn't line up with that. So I'm looking at them then why are you voting for that person? And then why are you getting mad at me for not voting for that person that won't see your agenda through?
Calvin, what do you think? I mean, you posed the question to us. What do you think about what Bernie Sanders should do? I mean, I have no thought that Bernie Sanders is actually going to, if he does, we know that he did not drop out of the race. There was some concern that he would when he made that announcement the following day. He didn't speak that night, Tuesday night, but he didn't. He said that he's looking forward to debating Joe Biden on Sunday, pose some questions to what Joe's plan is for a host of different issues. But if it is the case that Joe Biden ultimately wins the Democratic nomination, Bernie Sanders is not going to, quote unquote, leave the Democratic Party in terms of support and try to build some new party. I don't believe that's what he's going to do. What do you think should happen, though?
Well, I mean, if I was Bernie, I'd go after Biden very hard on his record and just hold his record to him and let it drown him if possible and turn people off to him. Like you say, this man doesn't represent anything you stand for. You're only going on a narrative that he's electable. And you know what? That's what they told you about. Kerry. That's what they told you about Gore. That's what they told you about Hillary Clinton. And what do you get? Nothing. They say stay to the center, stay moderate. But the party has always been successful when it followed the candidate who had the energy of the party behind it, with Clinton, with Obama, even though they really weren't nothing but corporatists in disguise. But still,
they campaigned like they were progressives or something different.
Yeah. And so I say if Bernie can't win it, he'd be doing us progressives a favor by bloodying up Biden so much that he led to the nomination. So that way, I'd rather have 4 more years of Trump than have 8 years of do nothing Joe Biden. I mean, the global environment can't take but so many more years of what we're doing to the planet. 4 more years of Trump, he's out there. Maybe we could get a real progressive in there who might actually do something, because Biden's not going to do anything. He's going to look out for the corporate interests. He's going to look out for the bankers. He said if he became president, that he would veto a Medicare for all bill if it came to him on the table, signed by the Senate and the Congress.
Yeah, look, I've seen that sentiment, definitely on social media, saying that Joe Biden, if you look at, Trump being the president for 4 more years, that would definitely be a catastrophe if you're looking at the Supreme Court. And I've said before, I think I said it last show, maybe some other time, that there's most likely going to be at least 1-2 openings on the Supreme Court, and they will be the liberal ones. And so you would change the lean of that court for decades if Trump is in office for another 4 years. That's going to be catastrophic. But also, you could make the case that Joe Biden will be catastrophic as well. Like you said, bringing up the environment, bringing up climate change. His plan, if you could call it one, has gotten D, F ratings from leading environmental groups. His plan is very conservative. It's not going to address the effects of climate change. It's not going to really do anything for us as a people or this as a planet, this environment. So just to think about what the conversation will be in 2024 if Joe Biden is running for re-election. We're going to have to talk about climate change in a different way after 4 or 5 years. It's not going to be the same conversation that we're having today. We're going to be more so at the point of we need to act right the hell now, and we only have minutes to make a change to the way we approach energy or else. So, right now it's like we have some time. Okay, it's still a danger, but maybe we have some time. But we have to have a president in office that's willing to commit to change the dynamics of the energy system. If we don't have that, and it doesn't look like we're going to have that, look, it's not over for Bernie Sanders. But again, if the candidates are Biden versus Trump, it looks like this environment, it looks like this planet, it's the beginning of the end. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know.
Yeah, when you said that, that made me think about how right now this coronavirus, how it's threatening the demand for oil and how price is dropping per barrel. And they're talking about subsidizing the very industries, if they have to, give them money to stay in business, the very industries that are killing the planet. They're willing to do that, but they couldn't bail out people who were losing their homes back in 2008.
Right. Right.
And that to me shows that, politics is all screwed up. They asked Bernie Sanders a question today. They said, if you had the vaccine, would you make people pay for it, or would you give it to them for free?
Right. Yeah, we covered that a little bit.
But nobody, and that's like to me, it should be a no-brainer. They put money and rich elite interests ahead of regular people. Yeah. And a party like that, they shouldn't expect people to vote for them. That's probably the reason why half the people in the country don't vote anyway, because half the people already realize politicians aren't nothing but crooks anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, the biggest block of voters is independents. That's the biggest block of voters, and that's what Biden's going to have a problem with. I think it's like 28% are registered Democrats and vote Democratic, and like 26-point-something% is Republicans, and like the biggest block is independents. Yeah. What, like 50-something%?
Something like that. But yeah, there's so many people that are either disillusioned with the political process because of feeling like they've been burnt so many times, or just have never even entered the political process because they already got it. Like, hey, none of this really matters. Nothing stays. Everything stays the same. Like, I posed the question before about the Obama years, because there's this sentiment out there of people like, hey, we got to get our country back, we got to restore integrity to the office, this and that.
Scandal-free presidency.
I
was like, yes,
right?
it wasn't like that type of scandal.
Yeah, but I'm talking
Obviously.
about in terms of your specific situation. Not to say that I'm trying to alleviate Trump from his failed presidency and a lot of his failed policies that failed people. Not trying to just gloss over the fact that there are certain segments of society that are feeling pain because specifically Trump is in office. But I'm saying that for a lot of people in this country throughout the years, not just throughout these Trump years or Obama years or Bush years or Clinton years, I'm talking about for a great number of years, like how much has your situation changed from president to president? It's not really been that much different. So a lot of people already noticed that. A lot of people already realized that. And why enter the political process? Why go to the ballot box? Why stay in line for 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours when you don't think it's going to end up mattering anyways? It's like, to get people to the ballot box, you got to give something for them to vote for. And we just don't really see that from these political parties.
I mean, they got to at least fake you into believing something they're saying is at least true to motivate you.
Right. Right.
But when you look at a guy whose whole history has told you he's been for one thing, how can you even believe all that mess? But it's just like a lot of people, they don't dig into it. Like I tell my parents, I said, I can show you video of Biden saying he was going to cut Social Security. Wanted me saying it since 1995 and Medicare and welfare. And they're like, really? I was like, yes, really. I'm like, I try to tell them over and over again, don't vote for him. But they did it anyway. It's like, okay. I'm like, you can't win for losing because, but I'm going to show them the video anyway because I should have done that in the first place. But, I'm like, why do you let these people, you trust these people on TV to tell you this and they fill your heads with all this stuff? Do a little research on stuff sometimes and see what you can find out. Sometimes the stuff might be weird and wacky, but sometimes it's right on point,
Well, like Mike said, this coronavirus might open up some time for some people. I doubt, I don't know. Right now, I doubt that it's going to lead to a more informed society.
Yeah,
but man, look, anything is possible. Maybe we'll get to that situation. But Calvin, we appreciate you calling in, man. Always a pleasure hearing from you. Always a pleasure hearing your take on things, man.
All right, y'all have a good one. All right, later.
Man. All right, so let's get to the next caller. 206 area code. You are on the air live with LTMB.
Oh, hi.
Hey, how you doing? Who's this?
I'm good. Yeah, this is Mawande calling in from Washington.
What? I didn't catch your name. What you say?
Mawande.
Mawande?
Yeah. It's not a U.S. name. It's
I figured.
Yeah, we got that.
Yeah.
First time calling?
Yeah. First time calling. Yeah. Okay. But I watch your show all the time.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. What you got for us?
Yeah,
today?
just a comment, right? So I hear a lot of people talking about how Bernie should go on the attack against Biden, and that somehow this will help gain more support to expose Biden. And I don't think that's an effective strategy.
Yeah.
Because I don't care how much Bernie attacked Biden. This wouldn't change the kind of influence that Jim Clyburn had on black voters in South Carolina, right? So the lesson to that.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was a lesson I learned during this election cycle, right? And that's that somehow guys like Jim Clyburn they've got trust amongst the people, right? And the question is, how do we build that same level of trust amongst people? Yeah. So that's my comment there, right? And
how do we build trust?
How do we build trust amongst the people? That it kind of reminds me of some. There was not saying yours was snarky, but there was a snarky Twitter comment about Bernie Sanders not being able to, get people to the polls when actually that's not true, because the same percentage that I guess we talk about young people representing the electorate, like those people actually came out. What actually happened was old ass people came out in droves to kind of like supersede the young vote. And a lot of people were saying that, oh, that's because Bernie's messaging is not good. I was like, I don't think that's the case. It's not perfect, but I don't think that's the entire story, because Joe Biden's messaging is not even there. How do you explain that?
And it's sloppy.
So I don't consider that a good argument. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I don't think that, well, Bernie's messaging could get better and maybe that'll influence people. But I think one major factor in the trust issue that you're talking about is the mainstream media. That is a huge obstacle for any progressive, not just Bernie. We just had NBC talking about how they might hire somebody who is, more Bernie leaning or a progressive. Like what? Because you don't have any, and none of them do. So if you look at the demographics of who watches cable news, do you know which people watch the most cable news? People who are 45, 50 and over. So we have a huge obstacle in the news media. So we can pick apart how Bernie's messaging can be better. And there are certain things I can pick apart. But with the world we live in, as Will pointed out earlier, messaging is not the problem, because people don't give a damn. It's obvious based on how much support somebody like Donald Trump has or somebody like Biden has. That messaging is not the issue. Messaging is not the issue. And if messaging is not the issue, then I don't think trust can be an issue either. Because there's no way, I wouldn't say there's no way, it's going to be hard to gain the trust of a block of voters who are constantly tuned in to the mainstream media. They're always going to trust what they're looking at. So I don't know. I don't know if there's any like realistic remedy to combat that, because right now people are voting their fears and not their hopes, and that is the problem. When people are voting their fears, it's not even about trust at that point.
I don't know how we. I mean, go ahead. If you're I want you to respond to that.
Yeah, can I just make a small comment there?
Go. Yeah. What's up?
So in South Carolina, right? Something like 50% of the voters said they were convinced by Clyburn's endorsement, right, to vote for Biden, right? Now that how does he have that kind of power? Right? They clearly have a kind of a trust for him, I imagine. I don't know much about the guy. Well,
I don't. Maybe it's trust is the wrong word. Maybe trust is the wrong word. Maybe it's just unconditional allegiance. I think that's why it's so strong, because if it was actually trust, genuine trust in a political figure, then there would be they would be able to associate this political figure with solving their problems, and most of them can't. Good. So I don't even think it's about trust here. I don't think trust is the right word to use when you're talking about the relationship that certain black people have with certain black public figures and certain black politicians. It's more or less about an allegiance.
Well, trust is empty. The trust is empty.
That's exactly my point.
Yeah, Clyburn is just a familiar figure here. He's always been a Democrat. Black people, especially Southern blacks, have always been connected to the Democratic Party. Clyburn is a leader in the Democratic Party. So he has that familiarity. He has that connection to the South. It really, I don't even think it goes far beyond that. I don't think you have to actually see wins by Jim Clyburn. I don't think you have to point to certain things that like, oh, this is why we trust him. I think for a lot of people, we trust Jim Clyburn because he's been here for years. He has a D beside his name. He was supportive of Barack Obama. It's very, very, very empty. And his word, look, I said beforehand that I didn't think that endorsements meant that much. I was completely wrong. I was completely wrong. Now, I readily admitted that I didn't know if it was the case or not. For me, an endorsement doesn't mean much. An endorsement means that it kind of just validates, it may stand to validate my opinion about a certain candidate. It might be a good look. Like if I support somebody, then I see somebody else support them because of the certain same things that I support them for. It's going to be like, yeah, you see, well, that kind of validates my opinion about them. But to change my opinion, to select somebody based on the word of somebody else, that just seems ridiculous. But again, we're living in 2020. You said it yourself that you don't think it, the way for Bernie Sanders to advance and to maybe even possibly win this race is to attack Biden. Now, I assume you mean attack him with the truth, attack him on his record and his lies and things like that.
Sure.
I wish.
Yeah, I don't think that matters.
Yeah, now I do wish that. I believe you're right. I believe that's an accurate statement. That I don't think it's really going to matter too much. I still want to see it. I don't think it's going to have too much effect. But if Bernie Sanders had led with that, maybe, possibly it would have done something. We've talked about how many months have we been on the show talking about how Joe Biden went to Michigan, campaigned for GOP Representative Fred Upton for his reelection. We've talked about that for months. He took $200,000 for that. Like, people have to know about that. People that are on Bernie's staff, people that are around him, they had to know that information. It would have came up on the first debate that I was on the stage with Joe Biden. I would have had to lead with that. It would have had to come up. His lies about, being in the civil rights movement and participating in sit-ins and marching along, and those were lies. That would have had to been broached. But Bernie Sanders, we know he appears to be too much of a nice guy. He has said that he likes Joe Biden.
Yeah, he can beat Trump.
Yeah,
he was on. Was that on Fallon?
Yeah, there's been attacks from some of his surrogates, specifically Zephyr Teachout, in which she said that he was corrupt, and then Bernie Sanders kind of just said no, he's not like that. That was a mistake for her to say that, and it's like, man, like if you want to beat the establishment. You better damn well tell the truth about the establishment, the uncomfortable truth. And when it deals with corruption, remember Hillary Clinton? Place the corruption right on top of her head. Place the corruption right on top of Joe Biden's head. Don't be kind of general about it and just say it in passing as if it affects people and not specifically a certain person, like a person that's on the stage. He talks about billionaires. But, like, say it deeper. Like, say it with your chest. And he just doesn't do it.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm disappointed in him on.
All right, man. Well, we definitely appreciate you, man, getting our blood pressure up and everything like that.
All right.
Good thing hearing from you, man. I hope you call back, all right?
Yeah, man.
I will, absolutely.
All right.
Cheers.
Yeah, at this point, I'm not sure. Like the caller was saying, I'm not sure that. I think it's the only thing he can do at this point.
You might as well. He has nothing to lose. I just don't somebody needs to just grab this joker by the collar and shake him. I was like, you don't need to be calling Biden your friend. You don't need to be saying he's a nice guy.
No.
You don't need to say he can beat Trump. You just need to go for the jugular because first of all, everybody already thinks you yell too much.
Right.
Everybody already think you shake your hands too much. They already, don't like who you are and what you represent.
The Bernie Bros.
So
movement and all that.
So you're not going to lose anything.
No, you're not. You might as well go out blazing because I don't think anybody in their right mind believes that Bernie Sanders is going to run for president in 2024.
Now that I'm saying that, whenever Brianna comments, or if maybe because I follow Brianna, I follow Nina Turner, I follow Sean King. I'm gonna get up in either their DMs, or send them a message, or get up in the comment if it's open. I don't think their DMs are open because they're so big, but I'm gonna definitely say, yo, you need to grab Bernie. You need to grab Bernie, like you need to grab Bernie and stop and tell him to stop this nonsense. Like
I wonder,
his political instincts are not.
Is it happening and he's just pushing back on the idea?
Maybe he could be. He could be pushing back on the idea.
But we know again, you can't beat the establishment by being nice. They're not nice. When we played the clip on Tuesday of Joe Biden getting into that interaction with the union worker in Michigan, I believe, and him cursing at him, saying that you're full of shit, and then towards the end, looked like he was challenging him to a fight, talking about, go outside or something like that. And then when he was questioning about it later, he said, well, the question was, how do you feel about that interaction you had with the, with the union worker? Do you think that was appropriate? And Joe Biden said, well, I'm just surprised that Biden is joining. Oh, no, he's surprised that Sanders is joining Trump. Now, Bernie Sanders had not said a damn word whatsoever about that interaction. He wasn't even questioned on it. But Joe Biden
felt some kind of way.
He felt some type of way. What type of way, I don't even know, but he wanted to blame Sanders for some situation that was of his doing. Not Sanders didn't even comment on it. And it's just interesting that Sanders, again, he is always criticized for being at the head of Bernie Bros. He is always criticized for not doing enough to tame down the Bernie Bros.
He's the commander of the Bernie Bro Brigade.
He's the commander. He should be able to root it out, but he's inflexible. By him being inflexible and I guess intolerant of corruption and all of this, that is what kind of leads to these attitudes on social media, on Twitter, right? Now, you don't see Bernie Sanders engaging in any of this type of behavior. You don't see him cursing at anybody. You do see him frustrated, and everybody's frustrated. Trump is frustrated. Biden's frustrated. Warren's been everybody's been frustrated. So Bernie Sanders has been frustrated too, but he gets criticized the most. You don't see him talking to a union employee, yelling at him, talking about you're full of shit, challenging him to a fight.
And he slapped
none
him?
of that.
He said he was going to slap him or something, didn't he?
I don't know if he said, I think he called him a horse's ass too or something like that. But you don't see Bernie Sanders engaging in any of his attitudes.
What would happen if you?
But
if
Biden,
you did see that? What would happen if Bernie did that? Now, Joyanne Reed was on Twitter talking about, I just don't see it how a lot of people are seeing it. This shows toughness. It shows that he's forceful. I was like,
now if that was Bernie Sanders,
there would have been breaking news.
She would have been on.
It would have been breaking news.
Completely different.
He's like, see, this is what we're talking about.
Yep. This is how he facilitates all of these
This is how he
behaviors.
encourages all the online trolling.
But with
his
Biden,
followers.
it shows moxie.
Fight that he can take to Trump.
This is how unfair the establishment is. But Bernie wants to play fair with people that are not being fair. The game ain't fair, man. There's hit jobs, there's personal attacks, there's all of this, all coming inwards. And we talked about Bernie, how he plays defense all the time. That the last debate where he was the front runner, okay? He was the front runner, so all the attacks were coming in on him, and all he's doing is trying to play defense and just trying to smack these attacks away. Usually he's very successful, but when they're coming from all these different angles, and you're heading into South Carolina as well, the Clyburn endorsement is coming as well. There's this thought out there with black people being the firewall for Joe Biden, and he's still being nice, not attacking Joe Biden. Even though Joe Biden on that stage is talking about being a progressive. Imagine a progressive trying to get a far-right Republican reelected when the mission of the Democratic Party in 2018 was a blue wave to take back the House. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is trying to keep a seat red. How the hell don't you say anything about that?
Especially when that has become a narrative most recently, right? That has become a narrative. The down ballot nightmare that Bernie Sanders would create. Somehow there's this notion going around, specifically from more moderate figures, that say we need Joe Biden because he's going to be a down ballot magician. He's going to be a down ballot wizard. We need to keep the House and we need to get back the Senate. And we won't do that with Bernie Sanders being president. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, man, why hasn't Bernie's campaign been more vocal about Joe Biden's actual down ballot wizardry? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Helping Republicans out.
Helping Republicans out. Because
for money.
So it appears in so many ways, in like the opening to that argument. The opening to broaching that subject. But he never takes it.
That's just one angle you could take. You can take the other angle and point out how both him and Obama, both him and Obama were together, besties for 8 years.
Yep.
what happened to the Democrats as far as the amount of seats they lost.
Legislative seats, yeah. State seats, federal seats, yeah.
So I'm just disappointed, again, and we're at a point now where you just have to take everything. Matter of fact, you take the gloves off and put brass knuckles on.
Yeah, there's no evidence that it's gonna work, because like we said, exposing Joe Biden for what he is creates a reaction like you read off from the guy that said, all these negative things that you're exposing about Joe Biden just makes me want to vote for him even more. So it doesn't appear like it works at this point. Maybe it would have worked before, but you don't have anything else to do if you're Bernie Sanders.
Well,
there's no other option here. You have to take them off, and then, like you said, not just take them off, put rocks in there, brass knuckles, needles. You got to get grimy and dirty. And it's not even grimy and dirty. It's just telling the truth about what Joe Biden is. If you just did that just more of the time, I don't know, man. I can't say for sure that we be in a different predicament. At least it would look like you're not leaving anything on the table. Painting Joe Biden as a nice guy, it's not the right strategy. That's not the right strategy.
And part of the reason why I think we both say it's not likely to work is because the mainstream media is not going to push it.
Hell no.
Now, if for some strange reason the mainstream media can ignore it, because see, then the mainstream media has to maintain a real delicate balance here, in that they will try to suppress a certain information about people, and they won't push it because they're trying to shape people's minds, while at the same time, if information does get out there and it's obvious and enough people know about it and they don't report it, then it starts to become a question. So they have to maintain this delicate balance between those two things, like understanding, hey, we have the power to suppress certain things, we have the power to shape a message, but if there's enough information out there, like let's say about Joe Biden, if there's enough people talking about it and pushing a narrative and making something trend and we don't cover it, then it looks bad. So it just depends on, the amount of information that's trending at a particular time. Like after this debate on Sunday, if Joe Biden gets socked in the mouth, it's going to be hard to suppress that.
Right. It will.
And so the mainstream media will.
But
how can they
Bernie has to force that.
He has to force.
He has to force the media's hand.
He has to force the media
to make a decision.
He has to force the media.
If he doesn't say anything about it, then the media gets off scot-free. They don't have to say a damn thing. They can paint Joe Biden as the winner of this debate and looking strong going forward, and ultimately he's going to be the Democratic nominee. You have to force their hand. Joe Biden has not been reluctant to talk about Bernie Sanders voting against the Brady bill, Bernie Sanders voting to give gun manufacturers immunity. He has not been reluctant to make those points. But really the only thing that I see Bernie Sanders say that looks like a stain on Joe Biden is that he's beholden to billionaires.
Yeah,
he will point out how there's several billionaires, dozens of billionaires that are supporting Joe Biden's campaign. But other than that, what does he really say about Joe Biden? Really, what does he say about anybody else?
On stage. We're talking about specific on stage because if you go on his Twitter account, Bernie's, he's bringing attention to.
He does. He does.
The issues with Joe Biden.
But not everybody on Twitter. Not everybody's on Twitter. They ain't seeing it. Your chance is on stage. You only got a short time. Now you have more time because there's only 2 candidates. You've got to make this time count. If you're not bringing attention to Joe's record, then you're not doing your campaign justice. You're not doing this movement justice, to be honest. So look, we're gonna have something to say next week. All right, regardless. When we broadcast the next show on Tuesday, I hope I have some positive things to say about what Bernie Sanders brought to the table. Like the last caller said, maybe it does not have an effect whatsoever. That's definitely possible. Actually, I'm expecting it to not really have much of an effect. but he at least has to try at this point. It's his last bullet. There's nothing else that he can do. You have to at least try to pick apart who Joe Biden is as a politician. If you don't do that, I'm going to have a lot of condemnation for Bernie Sanders at that point. I'm not scared to criticize Bernie Sanders. We've done it many times before. I believe he's definitely the best candidate in this race. I mean, there's only two, but even when there were 50-11 candidates, he was by far the best candidate. Doesn't mean that we didn't have criticisms of him. But this will be a very important critique if he fails to get this done. Like you brought up the media not paying attention to the stains on Joe Biden. Only Bernie Sanders can force their hand. If he doesn't do it, they have an easy decision.
Yeah.
They already want him to be the nominee anyways. Why are they going to bring up faults of Joe? It's not going to happen, man.
And, it's going to be interesting to see how Joe performs in the general election based on the support that he doesn't have, not support that he does have. Because if you look at the support amongst independents, it's not there. Mm-hmm. Like, Bernie got all the independent votes during the primaries. Bernie got all the votes from people 45 and under. Are those people going to be energized to come out for Joe Biden in the general election? It might be real scary. It might get really scary.
I'm not the only one that is noticing that throughout presidents' tenures, situations really don't change. I'm not the only one that notices that. So for all these people that don't really vote, they notice it too. So what's going to bring them to the ballot box if it's Joe Biden? Is he giving them anything? Is he giving them anything but no, we can't? I mean, yes, we can't?
It would the person that would get individuals to the ballot box, the candidate that would get individuals to the ballot box would have to be like an even more attractive candidate when there is an incumbent president. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? After 8 years, yes, people are looking for change, so you have to kind of switch it up a little bit. That's why Obama was successful. Yeah. But I think, what if Obama tried to run in 2004? I don't know.
Well, no, he would have stood a better chance.
He would have stood a better chance. Yeah.
He would have stood a better chance than Kerry. I think that is.
Yeah, probably would have.
Would he have won?
Would he have won? We don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah, I don't know. Like in the middle of someone's presidency, or at the end of their first term. I say in the middle, like assuming Trump is going to win another 4 years. But like you have to look ahead to the general election if you are a Biden supporter or think that he can beat Trump. You have to look ahead to that. You have to look at like what voters are going to be attracted to him. And we could talk all day about he got the black vote. Oh, he ran the table. Not really ran the table, but kind of. He had the support of the Democratic Party. But if you look at the people he didn't get support from, are all those people going to support him in the general? Like young people, independents, Latinos, Latinx people. Like if you look at the Latinx people and how they turn out for Bernie Sanders, it's like ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So will those people turn out for Biden in the general? And so you have a lot of Biden supporters who are either one, assuming that those people will turn out for Biden, or just like saying, we may not need them. I'm just like...
You brought that up. Remind me of a clip we have here. After Joe Biden, not all of them, of course, but Joe Biden spoke on Tuesday night. And of course, it's after it had been announced that he had, gotten some significant wins. There was one part of the speech that I want to highlight. And it seemed like it was a pitch to Bernie Sanders supporters. And actually, of course, it doesn't seem like it. He actually said that. But I wanted to, let you hear these words. Because I definitely have a response to them.
And I want to thank Bernie Sanders and his supporters for their tireless energy and their passion. We share a common goal, and together we'll defeat Donald Trump. We'll defeat him together.
That's what the whole narrative has been about forever now. There's a common goal. All right? Let's look past our differences as Democrats. Let's look past our differences. We all share one common goal, and that's to defeat Donald Trump. That is not the goal. That was never the goal. Yes, Donald Trump is an awful human being. He's an awful politician. He has been an awful president of the United States. I'm not here to say anything else about Donald Trump. But the goal is not to defeat Donald Trump with blank. You can't just say blank is good enough to defeat Donald Trump. Joe Biden is not good enough to defeat...
Joe Biden is blank.
No, he's not good enough because the mission has always been to replace Donald Trump with somebody that is an advocate for people, for this planet, for this environment.
So somebody who can defeat...
For justice.
So somebody who can defeat corporatism.
Yes.
So
Trump. Trump is one man.
And that's the sham. That's the sham. That's the sham right there. Because once you make it about defeating this one man and you get people to buy into it, what do they kind of forego in that mission? They forego defeating corporatism.
Yep.
The very thing that affects their lives the most. So you make it about that because they don't have any intention to create a system to help the majority of the American people. That's why you have to make it about that, that agenda to defeat Trump. And you get people to buy into it. And it's easy to get people to buy into it based on how Trump has presented himself. So
I'm interested in this kind. Mr. Dead said this is quite the departure from 2016 for LTMB. I'm not sure what that means.
He's probably referencing the goal in voting for Jill Stein and hoping that she gets a certain percentage of the vote so she can qualify for federal funds. That was the goal for 2016. We haven't really been definitive in what our voting intentions are until recently. Like our last broadcast on Tuesday, that's the first time I was very adamant and definitive about what I was going to do in November. And I was like, I'm not voting for Joe Biden. Because a vote for Joe Biden is a vote for nothing, a vote for blank. It's more than blank.
Yeah.
It's a vote for an agenda that is not within the best interest of me or the American people, in my opinion. Like all it will do is continue the situation that we've always been accustomed to here. That's all it will do. And I'm supposed to accept that because this person is not Trump. Like the situations that we highlight on this show all the time, the situations that we think affect people's lives negatively, whether domestically or abroad, doesn't matter. If Joe Biden brings that into the White House, I can't support that. Like I can't support any of those things. So why would I vote for somebody who has an agenda like that, like Joe Biden does? To me, it doesn't make any sense. So I feel comfortable about not voting for Biden because.
But that's not really a departure from 2016 for us. That's why I'm just wondering. I need more I need more of an explanation of what that actually means. I haven't been as adamant as this guy right here about not voting for Joe Biden. I mean that's what I feel. I famously said months ago. Now this was last year, probably around the summertime, saying that hey, if Joe Biden becomes the Democratic nominee, I'd vote for him. I said that on this show at least a couple times. That feeling has wavered significantly. It's wavered significantly. It's not even that. I think there's more information that has surfaced about Joe Biden that even I was not aware of. I wasn't aware of how much he told egregious lies. I wasn't sure of how much he pandered to black people. Not even in the same, like we always see politicians pander to different constituencies. Hillary Clinton doing the nay
on
Ellen, I believe,
or the hot sauce thing on
the hot
Breakfast
sauce.
Club.
I always got hot sauce in my bag, and so that's like, that's kind of like top shelf pandering. That's a little bit more than what we usually see from politicians. Usually we just see them eating chicken the wrong way or something like that.
That's Buttigieg.
Or even
going to Sylvia's.
Gillibrand asking, how do I eat this chicken? Have you eaten chicken before? Have you known chicken was a thing?
First of all, you knew you were coming here. You didn't get it together before you came.
You waited before
the chicken
you were in front
hot
of the camera.
to your plate.
But anyway, so we see politicians pander to black people all the time, specifically. Cool. All right. Now we're gonna make fun of that. We made fun of Hillary Clinton for doing so. Okay, cool. But when you pander in such a way that is so inflammatory, that is so offensive, to say that you were part of the civil rights movement, to say that you marched, to say that you participated in sit-ins, to say that you went to South Africa and got arrested trying to see Nelson Mandela, and all of these things are just flagrant lies. When you do shit like that, man, that's more than just your regular type pandering. That shows like who you are as a person more so than who you are as a politician. To me, I don't think that's somebody that I can vote for. I mean, you're going into Mike Bloomberg territory. Mike Bloomberg, I would say, has, his record is probably definitely more damaging than Joe Biden is, because he was the mayor of New York City. He had an opportunity to actually discriminate against black people in a very certain way that Joe Biden, I don't believe, had the opportunity to do so. But given the opportunity, would Joe Biden have not done the same thing? I'm not sure. Based on other things that I've seen from Joe Biden.
Like how he approached the crime bill. Again, his approach to the crime bill was what? That he didn't care about root causes.
Didn't care, man. Didn't care. You knew what it was going to do to communities of color, and you didn't give a damn whatsoever. And you didn't apologize for it. You defended it for years, for decades. Like I said, man, Joe Biden is a very objectionable character for me. And just like Mike Bloomberg was a step too far, and there was no way in hell, no way in the world I was going to vote for him no matter what.
Did we? Okay, he offered explanation. I think, sometimes when we talk...
We said that?
I don't think so.
Oh, we never said that.
I don't think we ever said that.
We never
but
said
also,
that.
But see,
no,
the thing... No.
Never, not once. There's no video that we said we should do the... Actually, we...
maybe if we were just kind of spitballing about who would be just... better or worse, splitting hairs.
Yeah,
maybe
that was a theoretical.
Yeah,
argument,
yeah. If we're just talking about even to this day, I could acknowledge that there were definitely things that we would not be talking about if Hillary Clinton were president. It doesn't mean it's a lesser of two evils thing. It's just a different kind of evil. We may have been talking about some of the same stuff, but I doubt it. There are certain things we would not be talking about if Hillary Clinton was president, and you were in denial if you deny that. Yeah. If you deny that, that's what denial is. But you would be very you'd be disingenuous if you think that wasn't the case. We'd be talking about other things. We'd be focused on other things. There would definitely be other problems we'd be talking about. We would not be talking about the same stuff.
Now you could say that the comments that I just told you I made last summer, talking about that if Joe Biden was the candidate, that I'd vote for him. Now, that was a departure from what I said in 2016, definitely. But in 2016, I was never
because you
on
know
the
who we
side of
vote
voting
for.
Hillary
I'm like, we
Clinton.
were very
No.
adamant like this
Jill
whole time.
Stein.
Yeah, like, we made a video like,
all day long.
We made a video of like we endorsed her.
Yeah, an endorsement video, no doubt. We never said vote for Hillary Clinton. We talked about individuals. We talked about Sean King saying that we should vote for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, we made a video and Sean King, he straight made a beeline to our Facebook page.
That's right.
That was unexpected.
Exactly.
We made a video about Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
And he made a beeline to our Facebook page and commented under it. We responded to him. It was very civil.
Yeah, it was.
So he wasn't trying to be a bully like some people say he is. But no, we disagree. We fundamentally disagree with him.
The only reason that I departed last summer saying that I would vote for Joe Biden, the only reason I said that, not because I felt like, oh, Joe, I'm just gonna fall in line now. It didn't work, so now I'm gonna fall. No, that wasn't the reason. The reason was in 2016 there was a goal. You just talked about it. There was a goal in 2016 to get the Green Party to be more relevant, to get them to ballot access, to get them federal funding. And then going forward, maybe the Green Party will grow more and more into the point that we actually had a viable third option for President of the United States. That was the goal. Now, we knew that the little dent that we may be able to create in 2016, it still was going to be years in the making that we were going to see that possibility take place. But still, you have to start somewhere. Now, in 2020, looking at, from 2019 when I made that statement, looking at 2020, if I'm looking back at 2016 and noting how that failed horribly.
Because that was the best opportunity.
That was the best opportunity. You had two candidates, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, that were just so polarizing, that had unfavorable numbers that were so vast. That was the best opportunity to do so. In 2020, we knew we were going to have a situation like that. So I just didn't see any reason, you couldn't get me to believe that anything was going to be beneficial by voting third party in 2020. So that's why I made the statement that, whoever it is, if it's Joe Biden even, I'll go ahead. I even said if it was Hillary Clinton.
Again? Oh, yeah. See,
I even said if it was Hillary Clinton, I said that.
I definitely didn't go there.
I went
I was
there.
like, I don't know
I went
about
there.
that.
I went there. And now as I look at, the dynamics now and look at who we have, Hillary Clinton, and we said at the time, Hillary Clinton is a better candidate than Joe Biden is. Hillary Clinton is a better candidate than Joe Biden is. I would have an easier time in 2020 voting for her than I would if Joe Biden is the nominee. So, like I said, I'm not going to put it at 100% that there's no way I'm going to vote for him. Not as of yet. I'd say that there's a very good chance that I won't.
Victor Ortiz, I can see that happening. Victor in the chat says that Biden will beat Bernie in Florida, Ohio, and the Rust Belt. Just looking at the way this primary has gone, that's the way it looks like it's going to be. But it's like he says, I hope it was worth the 230 yeah, and it's not going to be worth it. I mean, thanks for the $5 super chat. Appreciate that.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, Biden is looking strong in a lot of these red states. He's looked very strong in these red states. Now, he is beating Bernie in other states as well, states that Bernie won in 2016. But like Mike said before, is he going to be able to get out these independents? Is he going to be able to get out these young voters as well? I just have my doubts. We have our doubts.
I just think it's arrogant. Like, I see like some of the comments, especially from those who support Biden and boomers, talking about the entitlement of millennials and how they just want to like destroy everything for everybody. And it's just like so selfish of them to sit out the election. I was like, the gall of damn boomers and Biden supporters calling millennials entitled? I'm like, y'all have had power this whole time. What are you talking about? Like, your politics has been represented this entire time. Mm-hmm. Talk about entitlement. I'm like, wow. I'm like, y'all have an entire media apparatus that caters to y'all's worldview, y'all's view of the world, but it's millennials who are entitled. Maybe they're the least entitled because they see the problems that you don't see, and they want to change to those things, and they don't want to vote for somebody who is not going to see that those changes are made. Like, the world exists after y'all leave, and they want to see a more a better managed world.
But this happens all the time, though. I mean, young people are always criticized for their actions, no matter what they are. They're always criticized for voting. They're going to be criticized as well. These boomers, you think they weren't criticized back in the day for maybe the way they approach politics as well? Back in the day, their feelings about, I don't know, drugs, their feelings about Vietnam. I mean, they had differences with the establishment at the time as well. But now they are I won't say they are the establishment, but they support the establishment in every single election. And now they're looking down at what used to be them and saying, how dare you? You know what I'm saying? This is the way to go.
The most common thing I see in here is they don't know what's good for them. And I'm like, wow, like, wait a second. If you look at the agenda that they support, right? Like, how can you say that? Most of them support Medicare for all. Most of them are in support of climate action. Most of them are in support of criminal justice reform. Like, these aren't.
How can you say you believe in science but then support Joe Biden? Because science is clear. I mean, like, numbers are numbers. Look, I mean, it's as clear as just like raw data numbers. Scientists are saying this, and these same people that support the Democratic Party and the establishment are saying, like, we are so different than the Republican side who doesn't support science. They don't believe in science. We do. All right. So scientists say we need to get our act together in the next few years. It can't be a conservative plan like Joe Biden's. That's what leading environmentalists say. That's what scientists say. That's what these groups say. Okay. So we believe in science. Republicans don't. Joe Biden doesn't have an appropriate response to climate change, but that doesn't compute. Nothing matters, man. Nothing matters. Like I said, it's going to be interesting what the conversation is, like what the political conversation is in 2024. No matter who is the president, who's running for president, whatever. I mean, just on the subject of climate change, man, it's going to be real interesting what the damn conversation is and how it's approached, because it's going to be different than right now, because it's going to be even more of a threat in 2024. And if Joe Biden is the president and his non-action is doing absolutely nothing, of course, the only action really is going to be to rejoin the Paris Agreement. Fracking is still going to be in place.
Exactly. Is he going to, like, work hard to get us off of fossil fuels?
And then if Joe Biden is the president, we know that there's not going to be a Democratic challenge to him, no matter if it's a progressive or not. You know, we wish we had better news. But look, the thing is, look, Bernie is still fighting. He's not bowing out. And I definitely think that's a good thing. I think I am very interested in seeing this debate on Sunday. I think all of you should be as well.
Not going to be no NBA basketball games going on?
Yeah, man. Focus.
Not going to be any NCAA basketball games either?
No XFL.
No XFL.
No none of that. No golf. I don't even know if golf. I think golf is in season. I think golf.
Whatever's in season, it ain't going to be there.
NASCAR, hockey, baseball, March Madness, NBA, soccer. Did I say soccer? Soccer.
You know what I didn't even look up? Like, how many like concerts and comedy shows are canceled, because those are bigger events than theater,
right?
In a lot of cases,
right.
The theater venues are a lot smaller, and those are canceled. So if sporting events are canceled, concerts are canceled. So people's into, like, the bands and musicians, their tours are just being affected.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like I said,
all of this.
all of it. Like,
All of this. is
their
being
attention is
affected.
going to have to go somewhere.
And there is a prime time debate
No.
on Sunday.
But again, it all depends on how Bernie approaches it. Is
You
he
better
gonna-
come with a cannon. You better come with a cannon. Every single thing that you got 2 hours, man. There's not going to be an audience.
So there's not going to be no crowd reaction.
We didn't mention that.
Nope.
There's not going to be an audience. Because you remember when we were talking, I think this was last time, we were talking about the change in the debate, the
format.
the format, and how there might be questions from the audience. Nope. Looks like it's just going to be questions from the moderators. Maybe a question or two from social media, something like that.
But having questions from the audience, I think they would tailor it to benefit Biden, because we know they plant questions. We see that throughout the town halls. They'll plant a questioner, and we'll find out later that they were some consultant for Hillary Clinton or some shit.
And when you look at if you were going to look at the change in that format, when you look at the last debate and how the reaction to Mike Bloomberg was so congratulatory and celebratory, and then you figured out the cost to get in
the tickets
to that mug.
Like I said, this virus, man.
So
the things that really aren't that meaningful to us, all right, they're gone.
Yeah,
that's I like sports just like everybody else.
Yeah,
I'm
love
disappointed,
sports,
but
man.
I'm like, obviously, without those things, life still goes on.
Yeah.
Your family still exists. Your
have to-
responsibility still exists. Your
That
life
time
still-
is gonna have to go somewhere
go
else.
somewhere. That time is gonna have to go somewhere else. So I mean, I definitely, because I was doing fantasy, NBA fantasy. I haven't been paying attention to it a lot because
That's on suspension now.
Yeah, so I don't gotta know
It's on
about
suspension.
that.
So there's a debate that's happening on Sunday. Tell somebody.
Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody.
Um,
Tell somebody.
I don't know. Like I said, Bernie better come with a cannon. This is going to be his one opportunity to change the game. We don't know if it's going to work. But if anything is going to work, it would be that. If anything's going to work, got to bring that cannon. Cannon packed with the truth, man. That cannon packed with Joe Biden's past. His record.
And let's just hit him right in the face with it.
Yeah.
What was the movie Glory? Where that scene where the cannon hit the dude in the head, and then that scene was crazy, man. I did watch it over and over again. Like when I was little.
All that stuff that Bernie Sanders put out there on social media, Facebook, Twitter. I saw recently all the times that Joe Biden felt or voted against abortion, made statements against abortion, saying that he didn't believe abortion was a choice. There were several times throughout the course of his history where he made disparaging statements about abortion.
He sounded just like these Republicans that these Democrats hate so much.
Yep. Bring that to the debate.
It should only be in extreme cases. Extreme cases. Those were his exact words.
All the times he voted against Social Security, or voted for Social Security and Medicare cuts. Bring that to the debate. The lies that he has told. Bring that to the debate. That's the only thing you can do. That's the only thing you can do at this point. All right, super chats went to. We already read Victor Ortiz. Been out front, Michigan, Massachusetts, and others. When do we confront DNC fraud?
He's talking about like the exit polls and how they don't match up.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've looked at that too, and I think that it is suspicious, but it's difficult to prove, and here's why. Because a lot of people say, "Damn, when that happens in other countries, what we do? We get involved."
Yeah.
But here, it's kind of like it's taken as
It's just
we gotta look at the circumstances too. So we gotta look at how things change since the day before Super Tuesday.
Yeah.
So we can't look at Biden's poll numbers. What was it, March 6th?
Mm-hmm.
We can't look at Biden's poll numbers on March 6th and think it's going to kind of play out the same way on Super Tuesday. And even on Mini Tuesday too. Like it's going to be different based on what happened. It's going to be different based on how, the establishment created the little Voltron.
Yeah.
How they, had everybody back out and endorse them. So of course the results are going to look different. That's my kind of counter argument towards the DNC fraud.
This is kind of like
allegation.
I can attribute this to a conversation about the deep state. Of course, I don't even use the term deep state. I don't. But the thought that there is, these people, these influential people, wealthy people that are controlling things behind the scenes, and they are the actual ones with the real power. They are the ones that are actually leading policy, and they're actually the ones that are controlling the government.
It's not that deep.
That's not that deep because we see. It's open. Those are open secrets actually, but the way people say the deep state and say it sounds way more secretive and nefarious. To actually do something about that, how do you do it? It's like that argument. I don't know that there's no real strategy to do it unless you change the rules. Like you change the rules in terms of money and politics and lobbying and stuff like that, public financing. Those are the ways that you would have to interject more transparency into this whole political process to actually do something about that.
Yeah,
but
because
the way to do that is very hard to do it.
Again,
so it's not
how
really
is it funded?
It's not really. It doesn't behoove of you to actually talk about these characters, these faceless characters, when there's no way to actually attack them. So that's why that's kind of where I go to with this, the election fraud, maybe machines that are being hacked or they're being tampered with purposely. The only way that we would have faith in these vote totals are paper ballots across the board. Make it a more transparent process. Now I think I don't know if I'm mistaken or not. I think I'm sure there's many countries, if not most countries, their electoral process they use paper ballots. Not just that, but they also, it's filmed when, when the officials actually count the paper ballots, this is on film as well. So we need a system like that, but until we get it, yeah, there can be conversation about the possible fraud, and I can't say one way or another if it's accurate or not. But I also can't say we can do anything about it. It's just we're limited. How do we get paper ballots across the board? We need people to demand it. We need people to demand it. Are enough people going to demand it? And then vote for it, and then implement it? It's going to have to be a ballot measure.
Well, it will be a referendum first.
Yeah,
referendum first. And
right.
if people support the referendum, then they can put it on the ballot. Because that's going to not just, I don't think that would just be like a general election focus. That would be all the way down.
All the way down, yeah.
That would go all the way down to local elections.
Do you trust people to get that done?
Nope. So again, it's like, how can we talk about defeating these unseen forces when we can't even defeat the seen forces? That's why I think the deep state conversation is like something is a side conversation to me, because we can't see. We can kind of see how it moves. We can see how it moves if we're talking about our involvement in countries like Brazil or Venezuela, or Iran, anything like that. Yeah, we can talk about that, but
we have no way of actually doing much about it.
We can talk up and down about, look what the CIA did in this country, look what the FBI did in this state or whatever. But how consequential are those conversations other than just to make us feel woker than the next person?
Yep.
Effectively, what are these conversations doing? Because if we can't even get people to vote for the right fucking candidate, if Calvin can't even convince somebody with a video that's very blatant, as what he said, his parents.
Right.
If he can't even convince his parents,
people he knows.
People who knows. Like, no, here's a video. This video is blatant. It shows X, Y, and Z. You
can't take it any other way.
Can't take it any other way. You say you won't like a politician that does X, Y, Z? Here, I'm gonna show you a video of a politician that does X, Y, and Z. Whatever. I'm gonna still vote. Like, if that doesn't work, then trying to like get people to focus on like a deep state apparatus or the hidden apparatus of the deep state, the security state, the national security state, all that stuff, the moneyed interest as it goes to its highest point. You're not gonna get people to talk about that, because that is a very broad and complicated rabbit hole to go down, and people can't even deal with just a little hole, just a little hole. But you want them to deal with a rabbit hole? You can't even deal with like a ant hole.
Yo, that's like
an ant. I mean,
that's like R. Kelly saying that wasn't me on the tape.
You know what?
Wasn't me, P.
See, of course, leave it up to
Wasn't
you.
me.
Leave it up to you to compare, like, how people perceive politicians and how people believe politicians, regardless of what they see, to R. Kelly.
Yep.
And you know, I never watched the tape. I never watched it. I can never bring myself to watch it. I was like, because I'm like, I'll be looking at damn like child porn. So like, I can never bring myself to watch the tape. But I did watch how he was setting up the camera. I did watch that, and I was like, that did it for me. Like, I didn't even see the tape.
I'm not sure that I did. I saw that part.
I
too.
saw
him.
I saw him as he was.
I saw
him as he was setting up the camera and going through the motions, and that shit was disturbing. He set the camera up, and he was going like this, like he's going like this to make sure everything was. I was like, what the fuck?
But it wasn't him. Again, it's like the same thing like Calvin was talking about. You show people this, that means this. I mean, you can't refute that it means this, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. All right, so also Strange Doss. Take my damn money before there ain't nothing left in my 401k. Yo, man, that's
right?
Real, man. That's a real concern.
Yeah.
People that have their money invested, man, I can't even say any. We don't know where this is going to go. We don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know how much money you're going to lose. I can't even imagine that. The uncertainty of what is going to happen next.
Now, a lot of people were predicting some sort of economic crash. But based on what type of economy we have, whatever, that's like predicting that the sun is going to come up. Because, you know, we kind of, it exists in a bubble.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of time. I guarantee you, anybody who, you know, predicted a market crash, specifically based on Trump's policies, like the Tax Cut and Jobs Act.
Yeah.
Anybody that predicted that, I guarantee you they did not think it was going to be set off by a damn viral outbreak.
No.
Nobody predicted that shit.
And usually even when there is like some dramatic decline in the stock market, it bounces back. You know, it takes a little bit of time, maybe, whatever. It bounces back, you know. Of course, the highs and the lows are very taxing on your psyche, on your emotions, of course.
On your 401k.
Yeah, on your 401k. But eventually, hey, it's going to rebound. You're going to be okay. This one right here, I don't know if anybody's sure that everything's going to be okay. I don't know if anybody's projecting that the future is secure and like we'll be all right. I don't know, man. We don't I don't know what next week is going to look like.
I don't even know what next month is going to look like.
I'm saying.
Because it's because people are not going to be secure until there's, number one, like testing across the board, and then the vaccine. Ramona Lawson, what up?
I'm saying, right here.
What up? Shoot.
So she says,
go ahead.
The inverse yield curve on national bonds was the hint.
Okay. But damn, thanks for the
no doubt.
super chat. You got me. Shoot, I feel like like dancing or something. I feel like dancing.
I know, right?
You know what I'm saying? Like
me, I'm kind of concerned. Like, man, I hope you good. Because,
yeah.
I mean, we don't know what's coming. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
We appreciate
it.
But damn, like, I'm not trying to be greedy here at all.
For real. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Give you a lap dance or something. Damn. Jeez. Goodness gracious.
You had to go there.
Where the pole at? Dang. Got me feeling guilty.
Video? You gonna take a private video?
Have my boy twerking over here.
Go put that on Patreon. Yo, this level, you get a
this level Patreon, you get a twerk.
Oh, shit.
I don't got much to work with, but I mean, I gotta give you something for that. Damn.
Oh man. All right, Final Fantasy Draft. Do you think the DNC prefers Trump win even over Biden? No, because see, Biden is them.
Biden is them.
Yeah, I mean,
Biden is them.
No, they definitely prefer Biden. Biden is one of them. Biden is exactly who they want. Now, if you're gonna now, real question would be, would they prefer Trump over Bernie Sanders? I don't know. That one, I can't be sure of the answer on that one. But Biden, oh hell yeah, man, they got no problem with Biden. All right, we are going to get up out of here. All right. One thing that we always talk about, we never have any answers, but we always talk about what's going on this weekend.
Yo,
nothing. Nothing's going on. I'm confident in that answer this time.
I don't know what was supposed to go on, but I know that I think I can guarantee.
Oh yeah.
Nothing big.
Oh no. There ain't no big events. No.
I'm interested. I'm interested to go out tonight and see if anybody's out tonight. I mean, I think that most of the kids are still on. Students are still on spring break, but usually Thursday night is the big night for students. But going out, but again, they're on spring break, so they wouldn't be here anyway. Clubs? No. See, there's less than I don't think not a club here. I don't think there's a club that gets 250, 500 people in. But still, I won't be. I won't be.
Yeah,
you ain't gonna see me going nowhere with a lot of people. Yeah. And like, if I do go somewhere, like I said, I'm gonna try to find me a bodysuit somewhere. I mean, it ain't gonna be like no hazmat type level stuff, but man, I don't care. I wear a trash bag. I drive Uber on the side. I drive Uber on the side, so I will be looking ridiculous in my car. I'll have my whole car plastic. Matter of fact, I ain't even driving. About that.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody getting in there.
At least for a little bit.
Right? About that.
Tay Ray asked about, what about Warren over Trump? Yeah, I think they would like Warren over Trump too, because I don't think Warren's actually a progressive. Or even if
she's a capitalist to her bones. Remember that. She's a capitalist to her bones. And if you say you're a capitalist to your bones and you know the economic situation we live in, to say that is like, whoa, like you don't, like how do progressives perceive that? You almost are saying that like you are so for capitalism that however you think it should be managed, or however you think, some kind of, tapering off of corruption, whatever you call it. Whatever her view on that is, it's going to not be enough for a progressive. And based on what we saw from her during the primaries and the things she said about accepting money, one, and two, what she said about her vote for the Defense Authorization Act. Both of those two things probably turned progressives off because, number one, they came off hypocritical. She just was double speaking, in my opinion, and she talked around the question. She didn't want to deal with the question head on. So I think the establishment would have been fine for Warren. I do think that there were a lot of people, a lot of voices out there who gave her too much credit. Number one, I usually don't call out names, but I was a little bit frustrated with Sam Cedar. Luckily, there were other people on the show that surrounded him that were just a little bit more hostile to Elizabeth Warren, because it just seemed like he was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt way too fucking much.
He did in a recent video.
I did notice that. I was like, okay. So now she pretty much had to come out of pocket, like completely. Her whole pockets had to come out for him to come over.
Yeah. True,
also, you know who else was lost by her? Somebody who defended her was Emma Vigilant. Yo,
until
recently, Emma gave her. I was frustrated with her because I was like, yo, you are extending way too much rope for her. You are constantly in denial, and just recently she lost Emma too. I was like, dang.
But see, look, that speaks to what the view of Elizabeth Warren was going back to 2015 and before. People really held her to a really positive light, and she was like the progressive beacon. I don't, look, I say that she's not a progressive. I mean, I've said that before. Look, if you want to call a progressive, cool. It's not on me, to be like, hey, you're not progressive enough. But I mean, look, I can say it, but it's not like my word is, the end all be all. So cool. I mean, if you want to call it progressive, fine. What I will say about Elizabeth Warren is that there's a limit to her progressivism. There's a limit to which she will fight for her progressive beliefs.
Yeah, it seems like snake emojis seems like the deal breaker. Snake emojis and Bernie bros.
Like Bernie Sanders, it seems like, I mean, he's willing to ride for it. He's willing to take all the hits on it. I wish he was willing to go hard against the establishment for it. Doesn't mean that he's not willing to actually push as hard as he can for it, okay? I mean, I believe he is actually down for the cause. I believe he is actually representative of people. And he actually wants progress in this country in the ways that he says he wants progress in this country. He has a long track record for that. Elizabeth Warren, I don't believe she has the fight in her. So she can say all these things about big structural change. She can say all these things about I have a plan for that and speak to the needs of people and this and that. When it actually comes down to it, where are you at? Like where are you actually at in terms of who you support and who you oppose? Her ability to just stay on the sidelines, not just in 2016, but in 2020 now too, it just shows you exactly who she is.
It was more about her brand. And I get tired of people saying that it was people are worried about Bernie Sanders' brand. But it just seems as if since he's not getting behind anyone and staying on the sidelines, it was more about her brand. And people in the chat, don't use his name. Don't say Destiny's name. Don't write it. Put D Tiny. Put D Tiny. Cause don't spell his name out. He doesn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve that. The keyboard energy.
So Final Fantasy Draft said Warren is the Senate equivalent of David Pacman.
Damn. Ooh.
That is I don't know if I go that down.
Yeah, I know.
That's a shot.
Yeah, that's a gut shot right there. That is a gut shot.
I mean, there's definitely in 2016 there were definitely differences of opinions I had with David Pacman. I can't say that I've watched him too much as of late, of the last few years. So
it's been.
I can't say.
I don't. Maybe a few months. Maybe one video, a few months, because something jumped out at me one time, and I wanted to see what he had to say. But
in the last year or two, I may have seen a couple videos.
What do people call him? People call him David A. Pacman.
Oh wow.
Because man, when it comes to like Israel, he is just like on the other side of things, man.
All right. So I think that's all we got. So let's see. Django says I haven't watched Pac-Man in at least 2 years. All right. So like we said, we'll be back next week on Tuesday. Only thing I'm looking forward to, I mean, like, in terms of an event, again, is going to be that debate on Sunday night. And it's going to be on, what is it?
Is it CNN?
Is it CNN?
It's CNN, I think. Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it?
I could be wrong, but it's CNN.
Okay.
Because that's the only reason why I knew the format changed. I didn't know who was doing the debate until I saw the headline of CNN. CNN is changing the debate format, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So it's CNN.
All right. So on CNN, I don't know the exact time. I guess it'll be like 7, 8 o'clock, something like that. Maybe even 9. Sometimes stuff starts late on Sunday nights, but
school might be canceled, so
yeah.
I know there's some public schools that are canceled. I know I've seen that on Twitter, so I don't know, man. That everything just it's gonna be some Walking Dead stuff in a few months. Be some Walking Dead like stuff. Just like as far as like not like an actual zombie outbreak, but just like how the scene looks on the city. There'll be people out and whatnot.
You think some tumbleweeds gonna be out here?
Just
I've never seen it, but
yeah, it's gonna be out there, especially in the country.
Something that we have not seen before. So anyway, protect yourselves. Get some toilet paper. Order it. Good recommendation.
Yeah.
Good recommendation.
Yeah, if you do want to go to the store, and you know they have some, you might want to be very cautious. You know what I'm saying? Like get to that checkout real quick.
Yeah.
Cover it up. Just cover it up with a tarp or blanket when you carry it to your car. You want nobody to see you got it.
That's true, because you're going to be a target.
You're going to target.
You're going to be a target straight up.
Get them.
Hand sanitizer, stay away from anybody that is exhibiting any type of illness, anything like that. Any embraces, stick with the pounds. You know what I'm saying?
Something, even the elbow.
The elbows,
The
you know
elbow.
what I'm saying?
Or just the
head nod,
We're gonna be talking to each other from each other's rooftops. Like, hey, what's up, man?
Exactly.
Send messages. Like, we got technology now. We can talk.
Yeah.
Send me a message. FaceTime.
At least we got technology.
If you ain't got that, you better find you a pigeon or something.
Django said, "Do the wink and the gun hand." Oh man, crazy stuff.
This woman, this woman said she just recently stopped smoking, and so sometimes, like when you recently stop smoking, you cough more than when you were smoking because your body is trying to get rid of that stuff.
Yeah.
And she said, man, she went out in public and she started coughing, and like she said, people were just like. And like people were like grabbing their kids. And she was like, I just stop smoking, y'all. I ain't got it. I was like, oh, poor woman.
I ain't got it.
I ain't got it. I was like, oh, poor woman. Man, when people cough, it's just like it. Even if it's a normal cough or a sneeze, you know how people are reacting. Like, come on, Timmy, let's go.
Oh boy. Anyway, like I said, stay safe out there. We appreciate everybody joining us for tonight. Hopefully you'll make it on the next program Tuesday, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Maybe we should do roll call next time and do like mark yourself safe from coronavirus.
You think there's gonna be a Facebook thing?
You know what I'm saying? Oh, you know it already is. I haven't been on Facebook a while, but you know there's already marked safe from corona.
Hopefully the testing will get here. The abundance of testing will get here sometime soon. We don't know when, but
shoot, I would definitely be. If it's available and it's free, I'm be like,
yeah,
I'm gonna definitely get that.
But I assume that people probably gonna have to be tested more than once, because we haven't reached that peak, so it can. Especially in a lot of these states, states have been declared, states of emergency. Cities have declared states of emergency. Not here, not in South Carolina as of yet, not Georgia, but Florida, North Carolina. So there's states around us, and we know there's travel between the states. So it's only a moment, it's only time.
Speaking of coronavirus, since that's a topic, even though it's not really related. Somebody commented about this particular situation that happened yesterday. on television. And what's that show, like Mystery Singer or something?
Oh yeah. It's
Sarah Palin singing "Baby Got Back."
No, it's what was it called?
Masked Singer.
The Masked Singer.
The Masked Singer. Sarah Palin was singing "Baby Got Back," and somebody kind of commented under the video and said, "If the coronavirus was a person." I was like, "Damn." But it was interesting. We got another super chat that came through. Appreciate that at the last minute.
With some twerking.
With
Wait, look, hold on, is that twerking? No.
No, that's just a. That's
is that Michael?
That's a. I don't. Maybe I don't know, but it's a rhinoceros or something or hippopotamus.
No, I thought he was doing the Michael dance, like grabbing his crotch.
Oh, no, I can't tell.
I don't know what he's doing.
But thanks to Django, Django.
I don't know what the hell that is, man. Appreciate that, Django. Yeah, that might be evidence that humans have. Peaked.
that was the sign.
We've peaked, man.
Like
That's
in
it.
the same night, you had the statement from Donald Trump, and then you had Sarah Palin singing "Baby Got Back."
Yo, aliens ain't coming here.
That's the end. Oh no! They saw that and they were like,
coming.
okay, we'll give them another 1,000 years.
Yeah. Then, we haven't made enough progress for aliens to even want to have anything to do with us, man. This is not a habitable place for anybody. I don't think they want anything to do with this.
We got Sarah Palin singing "Baby Got Back." We got a viral outbreak, and we have 2 possibly senile individuals going to be going up against each other. Yeah, it's done. And for being president, we done.
Ramona said she's in the U.S. epicenter. They tell us that it has been here for over 6 weeks, according to genetic markers on the virus.
Woo! Woo!
Yeah, not enough testing.
Not enough testing. So again, like you said, the peak is not even. No, we're not near the peak yet.
We don't know how many people actually have it. I mean, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Kenyon Bunny, did you guys ever watch The President Show? I don't even know what that is.
Nah. I've never heard. I don't even watch TV like that anymore. But
The President Show.
It doesn't ring a bell. I've never heard of it.
Not at all. President Show was hilarious. Anthony something. Adam Munich?
Adam Munich? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, no idea. Yeah. All right. Anyway, shout out to all of our patrons on patreon.com. Thank you very much. Definitely in these times, very humbled by your support, continuous support. Times might get tougher, so we appreciate everything that you do for us, no doubt. Kenny Bunny says on Comedy Central, worth the watch. Okay. All right, I'll look it up. The President Show. All right, everybody out there, again, stay safe out there. Watch the debate on Sunday. We'll have some commentary on Tuesday, and that's it. Stay safe. Peace out.
See, man.